and welcome to the Computer Game Show. I am FIFA 20 cover star, Sean Bell, and I'm joined by Matt Murray.
Hello.
And the Verminator himself, James Farley.
Hey, Sean.
I mean, Matt, you've properly outdone yourself this time, man. For those who haven't seen, those who don't follow us on Twitter or whatever, Matt has, I believe with some help from one of his colleagues...
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
...done some Sean Bell edition box art for FIFA 20 that you can download a high-quality PDF of and print out. Although the game's not actually out yet, is it, FIFA 20?
No, that's actually not out until 27th of September. But you can put that cover in anything, old FIFA, FIFA, PES.
Just nice to have it on the hearth or something, just exactly, show your family.
You can go to computergameshow.com/thejourney and download either Xbox or PS4 covers with Sean's and potentially Ronaldo's body on the front. Yeah, I've got to say massive thank you to Joe Robinson from work, who like we talked about, it was literally last year to the point where when we opened up the PSD, it had FIFA 19 on it because we had this idea so long ago. But he worked on the cover. He happily sort of gave up his lunchtime to come with me to Smith's to do a little photo shoot. And the staff at Smiths were really good sports. I spoke to the manager there, and they're like, just do we need to do to replace the covers, take pictures, and the member of staff agreed to be in some photos to show me putting.
I don't think you'd get that in game these days. I think it had to be Smiths.
No way, yeah.
I think Game Station as would have been all right with it, but yeah. No,
did you agree any kind of cross promotion, Matt? I mean, are we going to be doing this pod, and then you're suddenly going to go, and Control is available from Smiths?
I mean, I've always appreciated the fantastic service and incredible prices of Smiths.co. No, I mean, I mentioned in my tweet, saying thank you to them because they're good sports, but no, there was no deal cut. I mean, that'd be great if we could offer everyone a discount off FIFA 20, but no, that's not the case. But no, I mean, we had this idea. I've had this idea for so long, and it turned out fantastically well.
It was because obviously we talked about it, but I had no idea you were going to go into a shop. Because when you first showed us the photos and stuff, I assumed they were photoshopped. He's just got a picture of a shelf, and
that's
he's
what I thought as well. Yeah,
and then I realised that.
And I hope that's not the case because I was thinking, people might just think of Photoshop. No, I actually spent. I spent time printing out 30 covers. Me and Jill were cutting them out one night last week, and then I took them all into work. And then, we actually went to Smith's, did a mini photo shoot, had replaced all the covers, put other ones back in, talked to member staff. I got in to pretend, I was buying the games, both versions, of course. And so, how can you put it in a bag and we'll take a shot? But they were good sports, and the covers have turned out fantastically well, and I'm really pleased. So you can go to the computergameshow.com/thejourney and download your very own Sean Bell edition cover for FIFA 20 or whatever you want, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get into the stream stuff at the end, but this is because I am finally really excited about streaming FIFA The Journey. Well, it'll be tonight by the time you hear this. If you hear this the day this comes out, it's going to be on Wednesday. Well, it's going to be every Wednesday 9 p.m.
Cannot wait for this.
I've spent some time working on my layouts for the stream, so I'm quite excited about showing those off.
I thought you were talking about formations then, Sean. Working out how...
No, I still don't know how football works, James. Have you decided on the rules yet?
No, because I think... See, the thing is, right, I was talking to Matt about this the other night, and I was thinking whether it would be a good idea at some point for us to come on stream with you at some point, so we can sort of interact. But then I think maybe for the first night, though, I think you should just try and work it all out for yourself. I think that'd be more interesting, maybe, to see how it goes. But we'll see how it pans out.
Can't wait. Yeah. It's going to be great. We're also, just another reminder, still doing a live show on the 19th of October at EGX XL this year. It's going to be at 3 p.m. on the 19th. Just get your tickets at egx.net for that.
Yeah, we still need to work out where the meet is going to be. We haven't
sussed that out because I don't know is there anything near XL. It's kind of out in the sticks, isn't it?
I don't know. I need to find out. So.
Should we do? I know we've sort of done a straw poll before. Would people rather we try to do something near the venue or just something back in central London?
If anyone listening to this knows of a decent venue nearby, just hit me up on Twitter at Matt Murray, or just email the show, or So it's just someone suggest something, and then we'll book a room and get it.
Just tell us what to fucking do, please.
Yeah, I haven't actually checked around the venue if there's anything half decent at all. But
yeah.
We can have the meet on the DLR. It's like a mobile meet.
Yeah.
And we'll say we're the fourth carriage down. Just look for the
we've got to sit
disco
at the
lights.
front because then we can look at the fact that there's no driver. Because that's
point,
always the most fun bit of being on the DLR.
Just look for the carriage where all the lights are off, and there's fog and there's lasers,
some strobes and stuff. Yeah.
I remember that when I was a kid, like my mum taking me on the DLR and being all like, "Look, there's no driver." I didn't see why that mattered. It
not unbothered, Mum, in a way.
Yeah, it's
great because when it inevitably runs someone down, you don't have to pay for counselling or anything. It's fantastic. It's great. It's great efficiency.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? We should have the meet in like Canary Wharf. I think we should do that. Just somewhere, some horrible bar or something with a load of bankers in it, and then we'll all rock up.
What's the date of this?
Oh, here we go.
Fucking hell,
I just want to know the rough date.
It's starting now.
No, I can't.
Saturday.
Do you not know?
Listen, right. I am coming to this. There's no problem there.
Really?
I don't have it like ingrained into my head what date it is.
But do you have it
It's
on
on
your
the
calendar?
show plan. Have you not got the plan up?
Of course, I've got like a. Oh yeah, I've got that up. Oh yeah, okay. So 19th of October. Okay, so this is okay. So it's about a week before Brexit. So okay, I was just wondering.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I was just wondering how that was going to impact on whatever plans we make.
It could be a joint both TCGS meet plus Brexit party. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Well, no, because I was thinking if it was later,
not the
maybe
Brexit party, a Brexit party.
No. Just to clarify, not the Brexit party, just a Brexit party.
Exactly.
This show is supported by Patreon. You can head to patreon.com/TCGS and pay us some money and get extra shows and stuff. This week's Patreon producers are Alan M. Nash, Steve Garrett, and Aaron Patrick. What's in the feedback, Matt?
Last week we talked about Stadia because, of course, we did. Joey in Seattle, and we've got some other feedback actually. I'll do it all in one big bulk and then we can discuss. This is Joey in Seattle. Hi, boys. In last week's discussion of Stadia's underwhelming rollout, it kept being brought up that the main selling point of Stadia is the idea of being able to play anywhere. That may be true, but it's only part of the potential appeal, especially because anywhere only means anywhere with a blazing fast internet connection. The potential appeal for me is being able to get a high-end gaming PC experience without having to buy or maintain a high-end PC. If I could pay a fee to play 4K 60 frames per second games without ever buying parts or even downloading or updating software, that would be great. All that being said, I can't even play my Xbox on a TV because I'm used to a low latency monitor. So I'm very skeptical latency will be low enough on Stadia to even tempt me. Also, my internet happens to be trash. I have no options. I think Stadia is going to be a disaster. I have no idea what Google's thinking. But the dream of having access to a monster truck computer somewhere else in the US is cool. Pity it probably won't work. Love the show. Thank you. Talk about Freelancer again. No, we're not going to do that, Joe. We'll get on to a little bit of feedback at Stadia and then we'll discuss it. This is Max. Hang on.
Spungin?
Max Spungin. Great. So let's listen to the latest discussion on Stadia on this week's episode, and I can't help feeling like you guys are really missing the point. It's not just about portability as put forward by Matt. It goes more to the heart of the argument James is making with regards to playing games on Stadia versus playing the games on systems he already owns. Well, what happens if you don't already own the hardware? What if you don't want to upgrade to the next generation of hardware? Stadia represents a fundamental disruption in the personal hardware market. I realise you guys are primarily console gamers, but think about what this means for PC gamers. No more investing in the latest high-end graphics card, no need to upgrade your CPU. Google takes care of running all of that. Same goes for consoles. Why buy the latest console from Microsoft or Sony when all you need is a screen and broadband internet service? And Athena, why does Matt think playing Cyberpunk on a phone screen with shit touchscreen controls, unless you buy the £50 controller, is going to be a good experience?
Okay, so a range of
opinions.
So I'm surprised by this argument that PC players might be up for it. Because...
I know, that blows my mind because... Yeah, go on, Sean, you're...
Well, because I do play games on PC. As I've said before, I don't consider myself like a PC gamer as such. Like I'm not, my PC isn't amazing. I properly roll my eyes when people, say they're spending more than £800 on a PC because to me that just seems unnecessary. But that is a whole, massive part of the PC gaming market. They like spending the money and they like having like top of the range stuff, and they like tinkering with it themselves. They like getting involved. So, to me, that's like going to a car enthusiast and saying, "Oh, have you seen these self-driving cars? They're going to be way better. You should really like this." Well, no, because people who really like cars like driving cars and like tinkering with them in some cases, and they like knowing about the inner workings.
It's also it's the level of control, isn't it? And people love that about PCs, and that's the thing.
Because the thing with PCs, it's been that freedom to choose where you buy your games or what have you that you don't get with the other formats. It's not owned by a single platform holder, although I'm sure Microsoft would like to change that.
There's always that, like, as soon as Microsoft or anybody like starts sort of like introducing like DRM or like locking things down and stuff like that in like PC operating systems or even on Mac, it's the same. As soon as Apple start doing that, everyone loses it and just says you can't do that, you can't do that. This is like the ultimate example of that, of like everything being locked down and you can't touch anything. And it's already tracking everything you do as well. It's like
moreover, like, so I have a PC that I play games on, but I also have the same PC for recording podcasts or editing videos or doing streams. Like, so a PC can do way more stuff than Stadia can as well. So, I'm not convinced. But then obviously, the first email we got, like, that is certainly an example of someone saying he'd be well up for it for playing, instead of having a high-end PC. So anecdotally, that is definitely a thing, but I think
that's
just
now
broadly speaking,
with, like, is it Shadow? I think that's one, and
that's
there's
true.
There's like NVIDIA GeForce Now, where you can pay.
I don't know if they're any good, but
I've heard good and bad things, but I mean those sort of things are available now.
Yeah.
And I think you're totally right. Like the PC people want control, they want the best, they want the syncer, they want But so this is I think it's a bit of a dumbed down experience, and also, I don't think you're going to get... I mean, again, the glory of the PC is that there's so many options available, so many places to play games, and little indie titles here and there. This isn't going to be that for them.
Totally.
I mean,
don't think.
the disruption from this would have been through like how they delivered the games or whatever, in terms of like if it was like a subscription service or something like that.
Don't say that, you'll upset Matt again.
I know, but it's true.
No, I mean, I'm fine with it.
This is the other thing I was thinking about the other day. Is can you think of a single like piece of not hardware, but let's say hardware that has launched without a game, like without something which has made people want to buy that.
Something to give it a bit of an identity. Yeah. We talked about this last week.
There's not a single. I can't think of a single system that's done that successfully. Like none of them have.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
You've had. I mean, like even like when Sony got into it, they got this whole like array of new stuff that nobody had seen before. All the that stuff like Shinden and stuff like that to try and get people in. They just don't. I mean, I know that they've got these studios that are apparently working on stuff, but I probably would have
should have been straight out of the gate, shouldn't it?
It should have been. Yeah. I mean, just leaving it's just really odd, like to do it this way and just rely. I mean, it's just odd. It's a very odd strategy to do this, like to not give people a reason to want to get into this straight away is odd. Yeah. I mean, as that email says, there is the point of like maybe people don't want to upgrade, like to the next generation or whatever. That's fine, and I mean, I completely understand that, but at the moment. Maybe that's an argument for like 2 years down the line, when there's new stuff that's come out or whatever, new games that are on new systems and they don't want to do that. But at this stage, all this stuff's coming to everything that people generally already own. It's
well, no, I mean, but there's still plenty of people who maybe still on 360 and like they're like, oh, I haven't.
Are there?
Of course there are.
I'm sure there are, but
probably more than you'd think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, not everyone's got like the new. I mean. New Xbox and PS4 and stuff, there are still people who are happy playing FIFA.
They're not new though, are they? They're like 5-6 years old now. I mean, it's not... I mean, I'm sure there
none
are
of those people even going to understand the concept of what Stadia is.
Yeah.
If they're not bothered enough.
Exactly.
No, I guess
to own a current gen console.
I think like just because we have, PS4 Pros and this and the other, that does like a vast majority of people don't. They're happy with maybe a previous console generation, and they're like, do upgrades, and they aren't going to be upgrading into the next generation. But I see what you mean. They're also probably not the right audience who are thinking, oh, hang on, I'm going to get Google Stadia, or maybe they are. Who don't know? If this is advertised everywhere on YouTube and stuff, and it's like, oh, you don't need a big box, you don't need this, there's no patches, and someone might think, hang on, maybe I will play the new Google console. Yeah,
and plus you never know. Like 2 years' time, hey, the PS5's out. It's £500 fucking pounds.
Well, no, I think that will definitely happen. I mean,
I'd have to ask myself some questions if that's, who knows?
If the new consoles are less than £400, that'd be incredible. But I can fully see them both being £499.
Yeah.
Okay, if they're like, say, 400 quid. Okay, let's say they're 400 quid or whatever, though. Is that? I mean, I'd still rather go for that though over Stadia for like 130 or whatever. If I know that for certain it's definitely going to be working properly.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, absolutely. There's no contest. But
then also,
so that's the other thing. Like, obviously, yes, in the emails we've heard that, like, yeah, but you don't need to buy anything for Stadia. You still sort of do though, because you need the controller really, and depending on what hardware you've got, you probably need a Chromecast as well. You do need the controller.
Well, no, but because you can use any controller, can't you? Like,
can you?
No,
yes.
I don't know if you, can you do that at launch?
Well, I don't know if but basically the whole idea is you can use any like Bluetooth and or wired like your existing controller. You don't need to buy the new one.
But if you've already got one of those controllers, why don't you just play that game on hardware that definitely works?
Well, of course that's an option, but if you have one of the controllers, you don't need to buy the £50 one. You can just, and especially with iOS 13, it comes out in September, late September. iOS will then work with Xbox and PS4 pads Bluetooth, and they've said that those pads work with it. Obviously, I'm not sure what how that interacts with like the phone and stuff, but they've said it works. The pad, I think, is just because it's got like the unique sort of Stadia buttons, which might go to other menus and stuff. And
it does look like a fucking nice controller. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, it does.
And 50 quid is not unreasonable. Like, you know, we pay that for controllers now. But yeah.
So what did you just say?
I just said, like, 50 quid is not.
Oh, 50 quid. I thought you said 130 quid for a controller. I was going to say,
no, God, no.
I'm paying that.
130 is nothing. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't expect people to be playing Cyberpunk on a phone screen with touchscreen controls unless you buy the controller to be good. Obviously, I don't. But I do expect. It doesn't matter. We've fucking been over this. Have we covered everything there? So yeah, don't know the hardware. So. Check. Latency. Check. I think that's covered. That's Stadia. I've still got a pre-order. But
you're definitely going to get it, Matt. I mean, there's no way that you're not.
Because you're determined now. You're just doing it out of stubbornness.
Well, no, I mean, right now I'm at my lowest ebb with Stadia right now. Like, at launch, I was like, oh fuck it, it's like I want to be, and I still will be there. But I'm not. There's no real excitement. I'm just there because day one. But
because it's no, I know, I know the feeling, and
it's
like it's a lot of money for something that might not work, but I can understand the thrill of like just wanting to be there, whatever happens.
Yeah, and I get a Chromecast Ultra out of it at the end of the day and a pad.
Yeah,
and
great.
One of you lucky boys can be my buddy for 3 months of Stadia.
Can't wait, mate.
It should be you, James, and then what happens after 3 months? You're like, actually, it's the best thing ever, boys. I can't believe it.
Turnaround.
All of my games I'm buying on this now. Yeah,
I've also upgraded.
Let me in.
O2 offered me an upgrade on my iPhone. I've got a Pixel, so I'm part of the gang. I've got YouTube Prime. No, that's not even the name of it.
Does it work? I could definitely look this up myself. Does it work with the Pixel 3a, the cheap one?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pixel pre-ordered before the end of the. How much is a cheap Pixel these days?
So it was 400, and I think it's been on offer for like 360 ish.
That's cheaper than a PS5.
Yeah, man. There you go.
Get it? You're actually making money there. So get your Pixel orders in now.
That is some Murray maths at work. Right, what else we got?
Stuart Baker has emailed in last week, obviously talking about No Man's Sky, the fact it's recently had massive update, VR, etc. Stuart Baker, I'm sending this as a feedback, as a reminder. It was requested, I did, so by the show's own Sean Bell, read James and his comments on No Man's Sky.
What
James
a fucking grass. Thanks, Stuart.
Yeah, really threw me under the bus there. James seemed very dismissive about the type of game No Man's Sky has become and used the phrase, what's the point, when referencing base building, busy work, and there not really being anything to work towards. Isn't James's most anticipated game next year the embodiment of this? Animal Crossing. James,
okay,
discuss.
Can I answer this?
Please do.
It's a nonsense argument, isn't it? I mean, it's a nonsense argument because, okay, Animal Crossing is true. It is largely pointless, but you're doing it in a lovely environment with nice characters that have like you're building a kind of relationships and story and stuff, rather the complete indifference, coldness of space, which is just inherently depressing. So
it's saying if Animal Crossing like constantly had like a toxic Yeah, like environment that was depleting your life support every second.
I would not be interested in playing that game.
And all the animals were trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You'd
be
not
awful.
be up for
We
it.
haven't
Okay.
seen new Animal Crossing. That could be. It could
could
be
be
a
that,
toxic
yeah.
That could
environment.
be, that could be the direction they've gone in.
Yeah, it might be incredible if you don't, weed or if you leave loads of food around. There's cockroaches everywhere. It could be incredibly toxic. So
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
possible,
I wouldn't
but
put it past them.
So it's
So
all
you're
about
thinking,
it's all about the environment and the world that you're in. And in that, they're trying to create something sort of nice and relaxing, whereas No Man's Sky is not that. Like, there's no way you could say it's nice and really relaxing.
No, it totally can be. Depends on the planets you find.
The cold and indifference of space, Sean. It's just...
but sometimes you see beautiful planets with amazing
sometimes
creatures.
you get to planets where you're just like, oh fuck, it's like 23 degrees C. The sky's like fucking purple, and it's just like it's just fine. Like there are just like totally nice planets.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Not convinced. Go on.
okay,
Well, it's a shame. Is it just more down to the pastel colours?
Yeah.
It's pastel colours. Yeah. Thomas at Lamfla42. Kudos to Matt on his Alex Kidd stream, a heroic effort. But boy, do Matt's funeral arrangements sound complicated. I think I counted 3 beers while happened to cutting back. I mean, it was a bank holiday, and I had 3 weeks off beer, and I was like, I got bored.
catching up.
Yeah. And the funeral arrangements, you have to listen to Alex Kidd stream for that. But basically, I want a combination of both burial and cremation, and give my body to science. Just to.
How does that work? I missed this.
Well,
It was
basically,
horrendous.
I figured, we have the head under the, buried, so people can
Right.
go in, because people like to talk to graves and stuff, and
Yeah,
then science can take whatever it needs, and then whatever's left we burn up, and then we throw I don't know over.
Hang
a
on,
place
I think
love.
they do that anyway. I don't think science takes what it needs and then they just throw you in a skip. Pretty sure you get incinerated anyway.
Okay, cool.
I
Okay,
thought you
well,
said that the head was being preserved. Like,
no,
Disney
that
style.
was your suggestion to pickle the head or to put it in some perspex box. No, I'm just like. Well, I
I
guess-
found out I was on a stag this weekend, and one of the guys.
and someone died, and
Someone died,
bodies burn
and-
incredibly quickly.
So one of the guys on the stag was an ambulance driver, and apparently they are like trialing, because there's been incidents where like someone's fallen in frozen water or whatever, and they've actually survived because basically they were essentially frozen for a bit.
oh, okay.
And it's actually
Okay.
extended. So even though they've like run out of oxygen and stuff, they basically So apparently they are now like trialing that, like how to actually induce that in incidents where like someone's had an accident or whatever, and they can't do anything on the scene.
Wow.
So there you go. That's that's within reach.
Just get those ice cubes and.
So we should
Yeah.
freeze your head, Matt. And then we can... yeah.
Well, yeah. I just want to hit. All because I hate missing out on anything. So this is like and I want at the end I can say, well, I've done the cremation thing, the burial thing, and the science thing. Like, because what if at the end of it someone's like, oh, hang on, you just got cremated. You should have done the science thing. It's brilliant. I'm like, fuck. I'm like on games. I'm like, oh, what's the right decision? This way I hit all 3.
You're trying to min-max your death.
Yeah, I'm basically min-maxing death. Yeah, like I don't want to miss out.
Is there no part of you want just like put in a shopping trolley and push down a really long hill or something like that?
I guess I didn't think about that. I mean, or like shot into space.
Yeah. Or
I guess the
fly out of a
ultimate way
catapult.
to go surely is just a sports car off the off and into the Grand Canyon whilst firing a bazooka. Surely that's the ultimate. That's the dream.
That'd be all right. Yeah, that'd be good.
But failing that, just the old burn bits, silent to rest, and head in the grave. Okay. Also, Thomas continues. Read James's declining ratings of the community. It would really help if he finally delivered on that breakdancing commitment of this live show. Can you also stop deleting fan correspondence just so we can get to bed early? Thanks. Do you reckon
going on a
you
bit.
should, as a way of apology to the community, James, you could breakdance this year?
No. But also, I mean, it was going on a bit... It was going on a bit last week, wasn't it? Come on.
I thought last week's was good.
No, it was good, but then sometimes shorter is better. It's
Okay.
like you lead them
Is
wanting
that
more.
okay?
Yeah.
Quantity over no. Yeah,
No,
quality
it's
over
not.
quantity.
Let's not get into it. I mean, this email starts. This isn't for the show, but I'm reading it anyway because it's a good recommendation. This
Fuck
is Nick
you,
Hannan.
Nick Hannan.
Thanks, Nick.
Fuck you.
Hannan. Hannah. This isn't for the show, just a +1 to the recommendations you have already gotten for Dragon Quest Builders 2, especially you, Matt and Sean. Matt, Dragon Quest Builders 2 is definitely your shit. Farming that I like more than Stardew, building that's more in-depth than Portia, but easier to understand and execute in Minecraft. Doesn't require creativity, I'm not creative, but you can be as creative as you want. Sean, you have a permanent companion like Dragon's Dogma. No, you don't get to customise him, but he does learn along with you like a pawn, and he does say funny stuff. You attack monsters, he attacks them. You chop down trees, he starts chopping them with you. You start gathering materials, so does he. Not only do you have that companion, but the townspeople work with you. Mark a field, they'll fill it. Plant some crops, they'll water them. Build a kitchen, and they'll cook the crops. It's got a great pace where as soon as you get sick of a certain task, the townspeople will start to do it for you while you get to do something new and interesting. I know you've got lots of games to play right now, but I can't not recommend Dragon Quest Builders 2. I'm loving it. That sounds fantastic. I've heard people talk about this game, but I actually I haven't even seen what the game's about. So
I played like a bit of the first one, and it sort of threw me off. It's not the game's fault. It was just my expectations in terms of, like, I thought it was, Dragon Quest plus Minecraft. And it was this whole thing of, like, you had to build, like, specific rooms. So you'd have to, like, place things in, like, a certain layout. Whereas the thing I always liked about Minecraft was, like, basically being, like, your own, like, interior designer or architect or whatever. And I felt like it sort of took that away. I probably just didn't play enough of it. But yeah, like everything I've heard about too, like it just sounds unbelievable. Like, I know, a couple of weeks ago, I just put a tweet out just asking anyone if there's any like likely Game of the Year candidates that I may have missed. And like so many people came back saying Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Oh shit, did they?
Yeah, like it's going to have to happen, I think.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, because I've never played a Dragon Quest game. When I heard Dragon Quest Builders, I'm like, well, I'm sure that's they might as well say Final Fantasy Builders. I'm not really gonna understand that.
I mean, that would sell. That would sell. So
it would. That's never great. I need to post that now to myself before the pod comes out. Copyright.
I don't think you need to worry about not having played a Dragon Quest game because I mean they're like pretty hardcore JRPGs, whereas this is like pretty different. It's just it's in the same world and it's like same character designs and stuff.
Do you know? Is this on Switch?
Yeah, it is. So that's it, isn't it? That's the one.
It's game over. We pre-ordered before the end of the show. Thanks for the recommendation, Nick. I know you said not for the show, but maybe other people might like my shit as much as I do.
Is that like a GDPR breach, do you think?
I was like, well, I don't worry, Nick will delete that email following the show.
If he sends an official request in.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's it for follow-up and feedback. It's at Computer Game on Twitter if you want to tweet us, or you can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
Cool. James, do you remember when Man United played Crystal Palace away on the 25th of January 1995?
I do, yeah.
It was weekend where we won 2-1.
So it's the one when Cantona got sent off for kicking, was it Richard Shaw? And then a guy came running down the stands and was shouting racist abuse at Cantona as he walked off, and then Cantona retaliated with a flying kick.
I'm not doing that to you, Sean, but go on.
Well, I was going to say, so this week, if you could be Eric Cantona, I will be the Crystal Palace fan, and the abuse he was shouting is this bit that I'm doing now, and then Cantona's foot will be the news, please.
Okay. So you want me to kick you with the news?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And it needs to be such a kick that it's basically infamous in this realm. Obviously, that realm was football. This realm is just the UK podcast scene. So basically, so shocking that it sends reverberations around the entire UK game and podcast scene of what's happened tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I did consider going with David Beckham's 55-yard goal against Wimbledon instead.
Well, someone's done their research, hasn't he, James?
There's just so many like football things I know that I could pull out the hat and just use as examples. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the one I went with. So.
I presume you've got loads of other stories, haven't you? About
loads. But don't ask me about any of them, please. Thank you.
He hasn't even dug into the Tranmere stuff yet. I mean, it's
when he does, bloody hell!
Can't shut him up. Anyway. Here is some amazing news. Microsoft contractors have been listening to user audio from Xboxes.
Oh my god, I'm so shocked.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been happening, obviously, like with lots of other companies. Everyone's been at it. And this is for people that have used Kinect or Cortana. And what it was like a load of contractors came forward like anonymously to say that they'd been listening to audio going back as far as 2014. And I mean, they said that most of the audio was intentional, like, through people saying, hey, Cortana, or Xbox on, or whatever, but some of it was clearly accidental, was the other thing. And you can see how that would happen. I mean, sometimes when I say the word, like, if I say seriously, my, like, phone just thinks I'm saying, hey, Siri. Yeah, for some reason, but it does happen sometimes. But one of the interesting things from this was the contractor said that the stuff on the Xbox wasn't as bad as Skype and Cortana audio from other platforms. Right. The latter of which, he said, included material that could clearly be described as phone sex. So that was happening quite a lot.
Skype is the best platform for that, isn't it? I mean, I'd use Discord because it's much clearer. But...
Plus, you can have, it's easier to get a group together in Discord.
Exactly, yeah. Just have channel, sex chat, and then, loads of people can jump in.
Sorry to go off topic, I've never understood phone sex. I don't know. It's never appealed.
Maybe have no good stuff.
Maybe I've just got no imagination. I don't know.
I mean, James, tell him how it works. Just give us an example.
I know how it works. I just...
I mean, I may have been away from my wife for over a year once, but, that's still...
that's entirely fair enough, mate.
It didn't happen, though.
Okay.
I don't trust the Chinese government. Honestly, they're listening to everything. It's just like...
Oh, God.
Christ.
Okay, well, this is weird. So
sorry, go on.
So anyway, but the thing about it was that the Xbox stuff was actually, according to these contractors, a bit of a welcome respite, because the stuff that was going on the other platforms was so horrible a lot of the time. But they also said it was frequently, like, it says, this is the quote, it says, the Xbox stuff was actually quite as a welcome respite, honestly. It was frequently the same games, same DLCs, same types of commands, such as Xbox give me all the games for free, or Xbox download then like newest Minecraft skins pack or whatever. And this,
I love that. If that was like a sort of a hidden command, I mean, obviously that's very obvious. But like, if someone's like, Xbox give me games for free, and it's like, ding, it's like, oh my god, it worked. Like, it's a shame it didn't bring like Easter eggs in, where if you like, I mean, that's great. That someone said, oh, if I talk to Connect, I'll probably get all the games for free, innit? If I just ask him.
Yeah. But, I mean, they did also make the point, as it is with all of these things, that the audio is supposed to be anonymised, so you don't know where this is coming from. But obviously people probably still aren't going to be very happy about it. I mean, I don't know how you guys think about it. I mean, it depends, because, I mean, there's that whole thing of, like, you thinking, it doesn't matter, everyone's listening to everything or whatever, but it still doesn't make me feel terribly comfortable, like, the idea.
No, yeah, it is definitely weird, but then it reminds me of, the other week when Face app became really popular again, and everyone was going, oh, it's stealing your pictures and it's using it for facial recognition. It's like, have you got a Facebook account? Like, yeah, because
do you have
I've got some
account?
news. I mean, I've still not watched The Great Hack on Netflix. I gather I should.
You should.
But I'm sure I've said on the show before, I've definitely had the experience of like having a conversation about something out loud, opening Instagram, and there's an advert for the thing we were talking about.
Yeah, but that's actually covered in The Great Hack. And and
is it nonsense or is it?
Yeah, but it is nonsense. Basically, what happens is that they understand you so much because you've left so many data points around the web with things you've liked, viewed, so on and so forth. That basically that's just accurately,
so they don't even need to listen into.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a scene at the start of The Great Hack where like one of the main like guys in the documentary, he's like teaching a class and said, "How many of you have for like you've said something and then you see an ad on Instagram for the thing and everyone puts their hands up and he's like, it is rubbish. It's just that the models are so intelligent with so many data points and everyone. I mean, like I think in the show it said like each person, this company had data point like 5,000 data points on every single American, and then those 5,000 data points can work out whether you're talking about something or or looking into something and your intent and whatnot.
All this is true, and it's like you can't avoid, like to a degree, you can't avoid this. Like in terms of like if you want to function on the internet, there are certain things you have to like engage with, really. But then I do feel that you don't have to feed it though. Like there are things you can do to make it as minimal as possible. Like so that
but every single one of those massive agreements we all signed when we got Gmail, Facebook, and Twitter, no one read it. It's like, have you read the agreement?
It's
yes,
true,
of course I read those 14 pages.
I know, but that's true. But again, you don't need to give them keep giving them data though. Like you don't have to do that. Like I mean, I try and avoid using Google recently, actually, because of all of this. I just think, okay, I'm going to use like DuckDuckGo or whatever. It's maybe they're also doing the same thing, but I still feel there's something you can do to try and like anonymize things slightly. Not because there's anything you're necessarily doing wrong, but because you just feel, I don't feel it's right for that there to be that level of information on people, like being recorded. It's just not great. It's like, at the moment, things are fine, but that it could be used in a terrible way, like in the future. I think it's just
for example, to sway people's opinions on an upcoming vote or an election.
Exactly.
For example,
Yeah.
Imagine if that happened.
Have you not seen
Just try and
Grey Hack
minimise
then,
your
James?
footprint. That's what I just think about. You can't completely eliminate it; it's impossible. But you can still try and minimise it as much as possible.
Yeah, James, you should definitely. Well, everyone listening to this and you two should definitely watch The Great Hack on Netflix. It covers all this. I mean, basically, I think you're right. Unless you've never really been online, then you're fine. But if you use any online service, it's basically sort of game over. And I think that they say in The Great Hack that basically the people's data is actually worth more than like oil and gold and other stuff because of the stuff they can do, and that affects. They can target certain demographics. No, they don't have to target everyone, just target certain demographics to affect and change moods and voting intentions and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. In terms of this, I mean, they said that a lot of this is accidental. That's fine, but I honestly just expect everything I'm saying, like Siri wise or Google, at home and so on, and I guess Connect when I was using it, I just expect everything to be listened to for testing and improvement. I know, but it's just.
I know.
I just expect it,
but you can expect it, but it's still messed up, and it shouldn't be like that because it can be used in a terrible way. This stuff. I mean, at the moment, I was just reading like story again. I don't want to keep going back to China, but like the way that they use a lot of this stuff is becoming increasingly worrying. Like, my wife, like Chen was just showing me earlier on, like this stuff that they're using in classrooms, like that they're trialing, whereby children's faces are being like studied like constantly by like cameras, and then parents get like alerts like on their phones if the children aren't paying attention in school like properly.
Whoa!
And yeah, exactly. I can send you the stuff. It's fascinating. Like the whole way this works. It's like they work out like. Like if the kid's paying attention, if he's looking at the teacher properly, all this kind of stuff, and like all this data has been collected on these children, and the parents that have been interviewed about this are fine about it because they think it's great. They're like, oh, it's going to make my children like study harder in school and stuff like that. But then it's horrendous because it's like, what is that doing to people? Like, they're basically having to spend their entire lives either in school or if this gets like rolled out to the workplace. Then you also, it's the same thing there where you're basically just performing constantly and you have no privacy. And this is why I think you should push back against this if you can. Like the way I think about doing it is just by not giving it if you can avoid it. And it may be naive to say that you can avoid it, and that's probably true. But I still think you can try. I still think it's important to try to do that. Yeah,
just to be aware that it is weird. It's like such a major first step, and to not just be like, well, fuck it. Like, it's quite telling that the Google, I can't remember if the medium-sized one does, but the Google Home Mini speaker has like a hard switch for the microphone.
Yeah.
Because they know.
They know people aren't comfortable with it.
Yeah, they know that like if it was just like a push button switch, you'd press it and you'd be like, well, how do I know?
Well, you've got that.
Really...
Do you remember that with like Facebook where they were talking about like releasing like a Facebook like speaker kind of thing that would like a screen in it, but then like a lot of the focus groups were like, no, it's because nobody trusts them already, and like putting something like that in your home, it's just it's horrendous, like the whole thing. And these things can be used for surveillance and they can be used by governments as well if they want to, or by corporations, which are just as bad, like in the way that they can sometimes use data. Yep. It's
if not worse.
As I said, you can't avoid it, but you can still try and minimise it, I think.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get a load of things telling me I can't.
That said, reading this about contractors listening to stuff, I think obviously reading the headline, it's as if they were like tapping into people's consoles and just like, oh, I wonder what they're up to. I presume these were samples that they were sent to be like, look, this is what a person said. Yeah. Here's how the system, recognised it and passed it, whatever. And trying to, listen to examples and improve the speech recognition and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah, this wasn't like direct to people's machines. It's just these are samples because that's how it works. I think with because Siri was doing it as well. Like Alexa was doing it. They're all they're all at it.
Yeah. Which isn't an excuse, but
no.
It's not as sinister as it initially appears, but it's
still horrible. I think, but
Yep.
Anyway,
what else?
Do you want some more horrible news?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Okay, so you've heard of Ion Fury, yeah?
I mean, I have now.
Yeah.
This week. Yeah, go on.
So, okay, so Ion Fury was this game. I mean, everyone seemed interested in it because it runs off like does it run off the build engine? Like the old Duke Nukem
Yeah,
one?
or maybe like I don't know if it's like slightly modernized or what, but it's certainly, it's like a spiritual sort of Duke Nukem 3D successor, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
And the issue actually reviewed really well, didn't it? Like,
Yeah,
I think it
actually-
reviewed okay. It's like sort of 7s out of 10.
Yeah. I think it's more like it's a curiosity because it's like, especially like using something like the build engine, which is like really ancient by this point, and like at the time didn't even do the first iterations didn't even do like polygon stuff. It was all just like sprite based.
Sprites all being warped around.
Yeah. So I mean, so that is kind of interesting, and it was always described this sort of like updated sort of like throwback of like from before. But it turns out the developers also had a bunch of stuff in the game that was pretty horrendous and terrible. So this was like. There was stuff in the game, but there was also like sexist and transphobic comments that were made by staff in their official Discord, and this is like in the official Ion Fury one, and then also they found like homophobic language in Ion Fury itself. Yeah. So initially, the developer Voidpoint replied to this criticism. Do you want to hear their response?
Yes.
This is the full quote. So they said, "We unequivocally apologise for those comments and language, as well as any pain they have caused the gaming community, particularly women and members of the LGBTQ community. We take full responsibility for any damage that's been done to the relationships we've worked so hard to build." And then they also said that the staff were going to receive sensitivity training, and they were going to donate money to the Trevor Project, which is like this non-profit organisation dedicated to suicide prevention in the LGBTQ community. So. That sounds good. Like, okay, it seems that they've done something which was probably not great, and you look at the screenshots. I mean, I'm not going to repeat what they got here because it's just, what's the point? It's not great. But then it does look like they were trying to sort of, say, okay, yeah, hands up, we did something a bit wrong here. However, a bit later, the senior developer, I think his name's Richard. Is it Goblet? I can't pronounce that name.
Goblet? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. He then made a statement on the game's Steam page stating, "We've caused a recent controversy regarding Ion Fury's game content was to be censored. We will absolutely not be censoring Ion Fury or any of our other games now or in the future, including but not limited to removing gags such as gaming's most controversial facial wash. We do not support censorship of creative works of any kind and regret our initial decision to alter a sprite in the game instead of trusting our instincts. 3D Realms and Void Points stand together on this matter. Last but not least, please respect our need to keep our community forums clean from hateful messages, spam, or off-topic threads. We recognise a mistake and have received your message loud and clear." So
What?
I don't understand that. It makes no sense.
I mean, for fuck's sake. Right. So, see, once again, you've got people whining about censorship who have clearly no understanding of what censorship actually is.
Yep.
Like, the government is not stepping in and telling you to change the shitty jokes in your game. Like, this is just fans responding and telling you that something is bad about the game. If you choose to change it, that's just your creative decision that choosing not to make in this instance. Like, it would be no more censorship than if people, responded with feedback saying, like, the game's too difficult, like, or, there were bugs, and then you issue a patch to fix them. Like, it's like, it's just people giving feedback, saying, we think this sucks, would you consider changing it? And then you deciding whether or not to change it. No one's forcing you to do anything. It's not fucking censorship. So, but they know, maybe they are just that thick that they genuinely don't know the difference. Or maybe they're doing it on purpose because they know how a certain corner of the internet gets when the word censorship comes up. And maybe they're trying to whip those people up on purpose, which would not surprise me. Didn't they? I don't know. I've not seen this in any news posts, but apparently, didn't they say something about like, oh, it was basically the people doing the PR for the game did that original statement apologising, and we don't agree with it or something.
Maybe. I mean, but then also because they were getting review bombed as well from people who said they didn't like the censorship or whatever. Yep. So there's obviously clearly like a business reason for why they're doing this. They're just like, oh, we don't want to like lose the awful people.
I mean, buying our
game.
Like if they just come out and said, "Hello, we're getting review bombed because we tried to do the right thing," that would that would get
the thing about the review bombing is
interested.
interesting because basically, like what I think from one of the reports I read today about this is that so many of them reviews are people who have played like 0.1 of an hour of this game. They basically bought it just so they could review bomb it and kick off and fight for lack of, no censorship and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and the jokes themselves, which as James says, we won't repeat. They're just absolutely piss weak.
I know.
Like,
that's the other thing. You look at it and you're just like, this is really
rubbish.
like juvenile. Like
yeah,
really
and again,
juvenile.
this is what always happens when there's like a quote unquote censorship argument. It's like you can do jokes that are like a bit near the knuckle or whatever if they're like clever enough. Like, but it's when the jokes are so shit. It's like, oh no, you cared way more about upsetting people than about actually being funny. Like, and that's what makes it so mean-spirited and so unpalatable. And just, in
terms of those, so there's basically two. One of which they said was inaccessible without actually unless you hacked the game, you couldn't have even found it. And the person who put it on, it was like a developer, didn't get approval from anyone else. That's the one that have removed. The other one is a pun, and they're like, no, we're not removing that one. So it's like, sort yourself out.
It's a bit of a mess now as well, because as it stands, like some content has been removed while other bits are still there. It seems like they're not really sure what they're doing anyway with the whole thing. But I mean, this is really depressing. But it's like, I mean, it's not just like this void point. I mean, this says here that these 3D realms are like standing behind this as well, and it's like that makes me not want to buy 3D realm stuff ever anymore either.
I mean,
it's just
what are 3D realms anymore?
Well, they're not. They're not doing much, are they these days? But they used to be, like a big deal. Like a lot of stuff came out of them. Yeah, but
it's quite depressing because when I saw reviews of this, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, oh right, so I heard this game because wasn't this a game that was called Iron Maiden before, but they had to change it because of the copyright from the band.
Really
so
obvious.
Changed it to even though it's obviously spelled differently, but it sounded the same. So they changed it to this, and then when I saw the reviews, I'm like, oh, hang on, it's actually reviewed. I thought I saw 7 and 8s. I was like, okay, it's alright actually, and not that I really have any intention to go play it. And now this, it's like, okay.
I see. I was kind of interested, to be honest, because I've enjoyed, I like the build engine stuff from a long time ago. So I was like, oh, there's a bit of nostalgia there. I thought, but now, absolutely not. No interest in playing this now. It's
I'm looking at their CV. So I can guarantee you, so the last game they put out that you've actually heard of was Duke Nukem Forever. Since then, so they did Bombshell, which was the game that came before Iron Fury, and then they did Rad Rogers World 1, and presumably
I love that. Love that one.
Presumably that was meant to be a series that never came about. Graveball, Zik, and then that's it. So
all their good stuff, the stuff that they published before, it's all now belongs to Bethesda, doesn't it? It's like it's all their stuff. I mean, I'm looking at Wikipedia and it's got like history and then like 1.5 legal disputes, 2013 to present. It's just like, that's not a good sign, things are going that way.
But yeah, what a load of embarrassing shit. Just. You look at a situation like this and you're like, God, I almost wish that you just said right off the bat that you weren't sorry about it. At least that would constitute some sort of actual stance. But saying sorry and then going, oh, actually, no, we didn't mean to say sorry. Like, what
we
the
had
fuck
you there.
is that?
You thought we were sorry.
Yeah. I'd probably still go on that sensitivity training, lads. Just an idea. I think you think you might benefit from it. Right, what else?
Okay, this is like... Well, I was going to say this is like happier,
more
but it's probably not going to be.
Is that all the depressing news out of the way? Is it possible?
I'd like... Yeah, actually, I think it is. Kind of. We'll see.
So no, yeah?
That's what you're saying. No, listeners.
Well, the next one... I mean, okay, Mario Kart Tour is coming on the 25th of September now.
Yeah.
And so there is like a date for it. This is for Android and iOS. And it's going to be free to play, and it's going to feature courses. It's got like Rainbow Road, Luigi's Mansion, Koopa Troopa Beach, but also it's going to have what they call real-world inspired city courses, and these are going to be based on New York, Tokyo, and Paris, apparently. And these are going to be what they call special in-game event courses that will be available during specific times.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know.
What's wrong with that? I mean, like it's like, oh, we've got a Paris weekend, and now the Paris track's open. Like, that's what I imagine is happening, right?
What's wrong with that is, like, how many games of shit, what was it called? The Splatoon 2 one where you could only play on certain days.
Salmon Run. Yeah,
Salmon Run. Like, it's just, if it just catches you on the wrong weekend or whatever, I don't know. I don't know what the window is going to be like on the special courses. Hopefully, it's massive. But yeah, if it's just like this weekend, this course is open, there's a good chance I might just miss it.
I mean, I will definitely download this just out of like morbid curiosity, mostly.
Oh yeah, I mean it's free, isn't it?
Yeah, but then also, how is this going to control? Is it going to be just motion controls, or like how are they going to do it?
No, like on the trailer, basically, like you hold your thumb at the bottom of the screen as if it was going to be on the home button, and then you basically switch. You like swipe from left to right. With your finger, your finger kept on the screen. You move it to left and right of the screen to control, and then when you get some oil on the screen,
I've
you
always said
have to
like
physically
the
wipe
real
it with your
racing.
finger.
Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, that's it.
You cut out on mine, so I just started rudely talking over you. The real racing games exist on phones and have for some time, and they control really well. Like they're really like they're just very good racing games, I think. So it can be done. I don't know.
I'm not worried control-wise. Controls, if you watch it, there's like a trailer now. It's called like Race Around the World. It's like the launch trailer. It looks fine control-wise. Yeah, you put your thumb on it and play it obviously vertically, and control-wise, these things fine. I'm just obviously worried about.
I was a bit anxious. It does the Nintendo's thing of like, in the trailer it says like this will require a persistent internet connection and all the rest of it. I was like, oh, why?
Oh, it definitely will. Yeah.
Well, doesn't all their stuff like you need?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll probably be fine because I'll probably just play it on the toilet at home with the Wi-Fi. But if I was commuting on the tube, that'd be a nightmare.
I guess if you're on the tube, yeah. I mean, I when I used to play Fire Emblem a lot on the train, there's one little like reception black spot, and I'll be in the middle of something and it will send me back to the main menu. It's like this is terrible.
Annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, so this doesn't look like a game you'll be able to play if you're commuting if it's going to require that.
It's a shame that like we're this far into Nintendo's mobile strategy and we're like still just not really convinced at all, are we?
Well, there hasn't been anything, has there, that's been really, really good. I mean, Mario Run I really enjoyed. I thought it was great. Like out of the lot they've released, I think it's the best of the bunch. Yeah. But the others have not been. I mean, also this one, it doesn't really explain how this is going to be monetized either. Like it just says it's free to play, but that means there's going to be some way they're making money off this. Yeah. So whatever that is, like timers or I don't know, I doubt it's loot crates, but like whatever they're adding to this. So that's not great. But then we're not the target market for this, are we? Like at all?
Yeah, true.
Really. It's like I mean, I was just saying, like if I want to play Mario Kart, I will play like outside. I will play on the Switch version, which is obviously going to be way better than this. But maybe the whole point of this is to try and get people into Nintendo stuff, isn't it? And
true.
Maybe
that'll
work.
It's about getting them on board, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like their movement or their approach to mobile has got loads of new fans. I bet who maybe either don't or can't afford, don't want to buy a Switch, or maybe never bother with the gaming, but they may have like played Dr. Mario or Super Mario Run. So I'm very sure that overall, all their mobile endeavors will be a net positive for them. But
and it got you into Fire Emblem as well.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's definitely less likely I would have bought the console game, and also like I mean. Fire Emblem is one, and I'm sure there's been others. So I'm like, I want to get, when it comes out on whenever a console version of this comes out, I'm buying it because I've loved it so much on the phone. But I mean, maybe it's just me being like an old man, but I'm like, for me, it sort of taints Nintendo's franchises, and like they've been sort of so untouchable for so long, and they've put so much love and craft into their experiences, and then this is like, oh, you're just like all the rest of them, aren't you? You just it was sort of nice for Nintendo games just to be on those sacred consoles, and that's the only place really to get Nintendo games. Now it's just like, oh, let's put them everywhere. I know they need to make money. I know they're a business at the end of the day, and I think ultimately they're probably increasing their audience as a result. But it's a bit like, I don't know, like all these franchises we've known and loved for years, and it's like, let's just reduce them to like a free to play something to get people to pay more money. I don't know, it's just a bit sad.
But I think. I kind of agree with you, but then it's also, I just think, as I've said before, it's not for us, is it? And it's just like, it's quite easy to ignore all this as well, I think, really. And just, I mean, in general, I don't really play mobile games at all anymore. I just ignore it as a platform. I don't really have much interest in it because of all like the loot crates and the monetization and free to play and all that kind of stuff. You can just ignore it because there's already more than enough to play, like on other stuff, like on Switch and everything. It's
There are plenty of good phone games that don't.
I'm sure there are.
Road,
it's just I'd rather play with a controller, than I would with a touchscreen.
Yeah.
It's And
it's a shame, really. I don't know what can sort of re-inspire me to get me back into mobile gaming. Maybe nothing will.
Apple Arcade, Matt, it's going to be that.
Oh yeah, because the thing I love about mobile gaming is one. I'm not playing it, but what would get me back into it is paying £5 a month to play it. That would really inspire me to.
But you see, it's sad because when smartphones first started coming about, in terms of iPhone and Android stuff, I was really into mobile stuff. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. There was so much good stuff that I played.
Well, was it because it was a novelty at that point? I guess.
It was novelty, but also because visually a lot of the stuff was good compared to what was out on DS and stuff like that at the time. Mm-hmm. And there just seemed to be so much potential, and the games were they were cheap, but then it was like one and done. You just buy it, and there wasn't all the free to play stuff and all that kind of thing, and it was great. I really really enjoyed it. But then it was just as soon as it started to tilt towards that, okay, our game is now free and everything, and you just have to keep giving money, for this sort of stuff, and the game started to get redesigned around that, so that it was basically to extract more cash from you. I just thought, I'm not into this anymore. I'd rather just, I don't know where I am with these anymore. I'd rather just pay some cash and play the game.
Yeah. It is such a shame that, as you say, there was that whole, it was a good couple of years where it felt phone gaming was this whole interesting new frontier, and we were getting stuff like Rolando, which was a straight rip of Loco Roco, but it was really good.
Though. It was a good game,
Cannibal, Zenbound, all these games where you're just like, oh, fuck, this is great. This is, Cannibal was interesting because it's a game where it's a platformer that works really well by just tapping the screen and nothing else. But again, that was interesting. And then, just all these fascinating sort of tactile, interesting, cheap games were just coming out of nowhere and making loads of money for the developers as well. It was just like, this is great. Everyone wins forever. This is perfect. And then, of course, inevitably, it all had to go to shit.
Well, it all became like Candy Crush and all that, didn't it? And just everything was like. do you remember there was Rocket Cat games who are making good games now for for other platforms as well? And it's I remember playing. I think was it Wayward Souls on there, and it was great.
That.
And Mage Gauntlet, that was also a very good game.
Yeah, Mage Gauntlet was excellent. Yeah.
And it's just they were good.
And they did all the Super Quick Hook games as well. Did you play any of those?
Oh yeah, they were great as well.
They were fucking tremendous. Yeah, really good.
And like I said, I'm sure that there are good things there that are still that you can play. It's just that I don't feel like I want to explore it anymore because there's just so much content as well on there, and it's finding stuff that's good and all that kind of thing. And I'd rather just play it on Switch. To be honest, because I know that I'm not going to be asked to pay microtransactions.
I think that's one of the reasons the Switch has done so well with people like us, isn't it? Because it's become that home for portable but good games.
Yeah,
that we were sort of, obviously the 3DS was great, but it was mostly for Nintendo stuff. The indie side of things wasn't quite so well supported. So it's like the Switch has sort of taken on that early iOS feel. I think for a lot of people,
it's been terrific. There's just so much good stuff, and it's.
Yeah, I guess the last mobile game I was obsessed with was Pokemon Go. That was last summer, I guess. I was really massively into that. And then I guess before that, Fire Emblem. But it's been a long time. I just don't... we covered this, but I just don't really feel that inspired to play. Even that, the one new one from that game company. I was like, okay, this should be the one I'm really into. But when I heard I was coming to consoles, I would definitely wait. I want to experience that in the way, in inverted commas, the real way. I want to wait till I'm in front of a big TV, headphones, and a controller. I don't want to waste that experience by playing it on my phone.
Yeah, because so it's Sky. It's called, isn't it?
Sky, yeah.
Because obviously this has been out for a bit, and I was going to talk about it on the show, but I put 10 minutes into it, but on the iPad I've got is pretty old. Kindly sent to me by a listener, I should say, because I was moaning on Twitter about having nothing to read graphic novels on, which it's perfect for. But playing a game that has just come out and looks stunning, to be fair, but it was running it in this unbelievably low resolution, and I was just like, I'm just going to wait.
So what you're saying is, when you say wait, you mean wait for another listener to send you another iPad?
Yeah, please. If anyone's got
this isn't really...
something from this year, Ideally,
if anyone's got an old iPad lying around, preferably 2019 model.
Yeah, just bang it in. It's fine.
Mario Kart Tour.
It was. I was sort of like, I'm pleased that I've been able to have a quick shot of it, but I would rather just wait and like play it on the PS4, or even just on my phone, because it's coming to Android as well.
Oh, okay, right, yes, it's not even on there. Okay.
And it's interesting that like that game has not had a huge amount of buzz around it. It was like people were posting screenshots on the day it came out, and then I've heard nothing since. And I think it's just because of that exclusivity. I don't think anyone's really bothered.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because so many companies also, it felt like they saw the initial enthusiasm for mobile like as being like something they need to get in on. But then by the time they got stuff out that was ready for it, it was kind of like, that's past now a bit. You know, that's what I mean. Again, that's probably not true at all, in the sense that they probably are making mad cash, you know, like from the whole thing. But I mean, it just from the fact that, you know, like whenever like Bethesda did those like conferences, and it's like, you know, they say we've got like a mobile game, whatever, and the reaction is like, ugh.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Exactly. Whereas it's like maybe, you know, like 2 or 3 years earlier, it would have been a lot more positive. I think, like the response that people would have had from it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does fine. Okay, next story is that Battlefield 5's 5 versus 5 competitive mode has been ditched.
Oh no!
Yeah, I thought this would devastate you. So they've cancelled the 5 versus 5 mode, and instead they're going to be focusing on what they said is improving what's already there. And DICE also said that players aren't interested in small-scale combat in Battlefield anyway. They just want like the big, large-scale stuff. And Chapter 4 of the DLC brought more problems that need to be fixed. So that's gone. I mean, do you have any comment about this?
I mean, it's a shame what happened to Battlefield 5, isn't it?
Yeah, what did happen to
it? It just sort of came out and wasn't brilliant, and then it's just continued to, I don't know, flounder ever since. It's another EA success story.
Although, talking about that, I was wondering what happened to that Call of Duty game that came out. You know, the one that was like Battle Royale like style one, because that was supposed to be good when it came out.
Black Ops 4 or whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how that's still doing, because you never really hear about it. Well, I never really hear about it, but it had a lot of positive buzz when it first came out.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic when it first came out. It was like the perfect mixture in arcades, and it was really solid. The gunplay was brilliant. Yeah, I absolutely loved that at the time. I played a fair bit of that, but
see, if I was going to play one of those, I'd play Apex, hands down. So, don't know. I mean, Battlefield added their Battle Royale mode, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
And they with a really good trailer, to be fair. But then again, it came and went, and I didn't even know it had actually come out because I didn't hear a single person talking about it.
But then I watched a bunch of streams on day one. And people were like, everyone's just saying it's so broken because there's lots of things where they hadn't really learned from other big players in the space. So like UI and picking up weapons and swapping them and stuff was just a bit of a mess. But I mean, I also don't know. I'm sure they've fixed things now, but the whole Battlefield thing is just really sad because I love Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. I love Battlefield 3 so much, I bought Battlefield 4 digitally on PS4, I guess, at times. Like, this is it. I absolutely hammered BF3. I'm going to get BF4 digitally. And then, it was just such a broken mess at launch. And people fell off it. And I just thought, this isn't the one. And this one has come out, and it's just no one's really talking about it. I'm sure there is like a really dedicated sort of, audience and sort of player base still playing this. But it's just sad that it's not everyone's talking about it like they were in previous iterations.
I've mentioned before on the show that there's one of the local dads has like a home office, and they now play Call of Duty every week, but they used to be dedicated Battlefield people, and then Battlefield 5 came out and they were like, nah, Call of Duty now. So they just like switched overnight because 5 was a bit shit. So yeah, they're now all Black Ops 4 people.
You should get them into Apex.
I tried, mate. And they were like, it was weird. I think because they were so devoted to Call of Duty, it was like I made them play Apex, and they could tell it was good, but like every time they got shot or whatever, they were just like, I can't get my head around it. I don't know the controls, whatever. And I was like, all right, fine. I thought it was basically the same, but whatever. So they didn't really get into Apex, which is a shame. What I'd like to do is just take my Switch around and get them all to play like Towerfall and stuff, but I think that might be a bit too much of a culture shock if Apex was a struggle for him.
We'll go around next time and say, guys, you know those PCs, right? Have you heard about Google Stadia? The days of updating and buying new graphics cards are over, my friends. Welcome.
Well, they've sort of stopped inviting me, which I think is probably more mostly to do with the fact they didn't go for about 2 months.
Oh no.
Just for various reasons, just like, obviously like all the stuff we've taken on with doing the show and stuff, didn't really have time. And I was sort of like, oh, should I be offended? Probably not. Like, if I'd been a couple of weeks on the trot and then they stopped inviting me, then I'd be upset because clearly there'd been an issue.
Yeah.
But actually, they probably felt like it was getting weird that I was saying no all the time. So, yeah, never mind.
Shame.
Back to having no mates. What's next on the news?
Back to Sean, no mates. Yeah, this is, it's sad that they're ditching this mode, but also it's good that they're not feel like they have to release another mode when they've got other issues they need to fix. So we should applaud them for actually saying, look, we're just fixing the problems we've got elsewhere, rather than like let's bang another mode in that will have problems and people are kicking off. I mean, or maybe that's just how they're painting it, and actually really it's just because there's no real demand for it. Who knows?
See, I'm just wondering, like, has the bottom fallen out the market of this, like in terms of like competitive shooters like this because of Fortnite and everything? There's just like too many of them, and these ones are becoming like real sort of like also rans. I mean, I guess we're not going to know, are we? Because we can't know what the sales are.
The only thing we can look at is say like Twitch, like number of Twitch streams and viewers and stuff. I mean, like obviously Fortnite's still killing it, and every time they release a new season, the viewers get back up. But yeah, I would love to know like the monthly player counts for Black Ops 4, for Apex, for this, for any other shooter. I mean, I'm very sure Fortnite towers over a lot of them. Yeah, it's a tough time. If you're a studio now, you're thinking, okay, we're going to develop a first-person shooter. I'm like, it's probably not the time for it. Maybe we are due like a big like 5-year or 10-year gap, and maybe like because there's been loads of games genres in the past where they've like been and gone, and like obviously like 2D platforms were massive in the 80s, 90s, and FPS games were big when when like PlayStation, I guess when Xbox 360 started came out, and those games could actually be delivered in a way that made sense and worked well. But maybe we are entering a phase where not every game is going to be a first person shooter anymore, because as you said, James, like there's either not the audience or everyone's so focused on Fortnite and maybe one other one that it's just not worth it. It must be such a risk if someone's like, yeah, let's release a first person shooter in 2019 or 2020. It's like, I don't know, unless you're like a big franchise, and even the big franchises are struggling. Yeah, I don't know. You've really got to have a unique hook, haven't you? That's something different, not just another shooter.
I know. Look at Anthem. I mean, look what happened to that.
Exactly.
But then what if, like, do you remember when with Battlefield they did Battlefield 1943? The sort of standalone. It was like 15 quid, like 2-3 maps. That was fucking great, and everyone played that. Like, I wonder if they just need to scale it down a bit again. But then obviously they're at a size now where that would definitely mean laying people off or finding something else for them to do at least. Like, it'd be a whole, it's just grown to a size where it's like, no, if it's not a 50 quid game, then people are going to have nothing to do.
One of my predictions for E3 or hopes that there will be like a new Bad Company game, and like this actually feels like a good time for that. Maybe absolutely, let's get away from the competitive side of it. Try and create like a funny sort of offbeat, different single player campaign, and but making that imagine if they sort of relaunched Bad Company, but as a smaller package with a nice old like 5 to 10 hour single player campaign. It wasn't focused on all the rest of the stuff that bogs them down.
But to be clear, Bad Company still had like amazing multiplayer. Like you can have both. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I understand that I understand the numbers involved. That like you'll play a 10-hour campaign once, but then the multiplayer can keep you coming back for months or whatever, and that's where they can make most of their money. But yeah, it was like with Bad Company. Like the multiplayer was brilliant, but it was the fact that the single player like. People talked about the single player because it had a bit of fucking character and it was quite funny, and there were some interesting ideas in the campaign levels and stuff. And then that's what got people talking about it. And then a lot of people discovered they actually really enjoyed Battlefield multiplayer, which previously had been like a PC only thing. Suddenly console players were getting involved because they'd heard about this funny game with with a half decent story and a half decent campaign, and then the multiplayer was like a relative afterthought, I think, for a lot of people. So yeah, that sort of worked. Whether or not that would work again now, I've no idea.
I mean, having said that, I'm still very excited for the new Call of Duty single player campaign.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fascinating though what's happened to EA this generation. Like, absolutely fascinating.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's like you look at all of their okay, forget about EA Sports because that stuff is like obviously like
that will always be fine. Yeah.
But all their other stuff, what has done well? Like what do people still play? It's kind of sad, really.
To say nothing of all the games that got binned before they even got to
exactly. Yeah, it's been a really weird generation for them. I mean, it's been there's just doesn't seem to be that much around. But there you go. Okay, next story is okay. Do you remember before we had the Riot Games thing?
Yeah. So this was sort of rampant sexual harassment and people being bullied in the workplace and all sorts of horrible shit.
And then there was the walkout because of the forced arbitration. Yeah, all of that.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's been an update. This is just quick because basically the lawsuit's been settled. And the good thing about it is it says both sides have described the agreement as a strong and fair outcome that will change the studio's culture. So it seems that everybody's happy with what's happened. The details of the settlement haven't been made public, but in general, it seems that things have gone in the right direction. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. That's just an update on Riot.
Cool,
next. Nice. There's nothing much to say, is there? Next, we've got so Uncharted the film has lost another director. And this was Dan Trachtenberg. He did 10 Cloverfield Lane and Black Mirror. And
he also did that amazing Portal short, and he was originally... Oh, fuck. Okay, basically him and a bunch of other guys were like part of this like gaming network like ages and ages ago. Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google it. Yeah, but I mean, people were quite pumped when he joined the project.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's now quit, and he's the fifth one to join and then leave. So that's probably not very good.
Why is this proving so difficult? Like, I know, games into movies is not always an easy transition because, you know why. But the Uncharted games are like basically pretty good films anyway.
Yeah,
like they're so cutscene heavy, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not turning my nose up at that because they do that really well. So I don't see what the big problem is.
I know. You see, I saw the Dora the Explorer film this weekend, and it was brilliant, and it made me think of Uncharted because you just think this isn't difficult. Like,
same stuff.
Yeah, it's the same
thing. Stuff.
Yeah. Just with more wisecracking.
Dan Trachtenberg, so he was on a Totally Rad show where I think actually maybe Jeff Canard was involved. Also, he directed the Portal No Escape short, which is excellent. The playtest episode of Black Mirror, and he also directed the series premiere episode of The Boys. So, but yeah, I mean, and also Cloverfield Lane and stuff. But yeah, I remember him, because I didn't really watch the Totally Rad show, but I was very much aware of it. And so when he started being an up and coming director, and his projects getting picked up, and then he got attached to this, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Someone you sort of feel like you've watched their content grow and whatnot. But yeah, this feels like a bit of a cursed project, doesn't it? Like so many video game movies. But it's, as you said, why is this so hard to do?
Yeah. I mean, it's just weird. Like, when you look at other films that are famously taking a while to get together and going through lots of changes and stuff, like the Akira film, for example, obviously that is a film that has got a fair bit of fucking baggage and people are really anxious about touching it, and there's been all, they're trying to westernize it and all the controversy around that. So I can understand why people would be worried about doing that right, or just maybe not wanting to do it at all. But I don't see what the big problem is with an Uncharted film. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Holland is still attached to play a young Nathan Drake. That's the plan, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair enough. That'd be good.
It's also PlayStation Productions is now part of it. Sony set up that studio to do this. So
yeah.
And it's still scheduled to come out next year, on the 18th of December, which seems very specific.
Not, is it?
Yeah, probably not. No.
The thing is, is it did you guys watch that Nathan Fillion fan movie?
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I can imagine that.
Yeah, I mean,
working
it's
just
exactly
fine.
as you'd imagine it to be. But for like a 15 or 20 minute like little short fan movie, it was brilliant, and I would absolutely watch a feature length version of that. Like, just get them guys to do it. Like, clearly they love it enough to just put this thing out there. I mean, Nathan Fillion's like a current
He is
age,
Nathan Drake.
or a present Nathan Drake, brilliant, and Tom Holland is like the young one, maybe in flashbacks or whatever. It's like just clearly these guys love the actual base material. And enough to actually do this. It's like, yeah.
I mean, I can see why, if it was just a young Nathan Drake in the film and it was Tom Holland, I could see why they would do that, because obviously, you know, the performance in the games is so strong and people identify that so heavily with the character. I can see why they'd want to, you know, maybe deviate from that in the films. Plus, Tom Holland's good, but
yeah.
Did you know there's a Tom Holland film that like might just never come out?
No.
What's that?
I watched it. I watched the thing about. Well, maybe he's getting fucking sick of this now. It's called Chaos Walking, and it's him and oh my god, I've forgotten her name. Who plays Rey in Star Wars?
Daisy
Ridley.
Daisy Ridley, thank you. So it stars the two of them, and it was filmed like 3 years ago, and then apparently it fucking sucked. And so they did everything right. They're like, right, okay, let's get the original. Like, it's based on, you know, a series of books. All right, let's get the original writer of the books in to figure out what's gone wrong here. Let's fix it. Let's do reshoots. And then it turns out Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland are quite fucking busy now. So it's taken 3 years before they can try and do reshoots. But they're supposed to be teenagers in the film, and they are not teenagers anymore. So
I don't think that's going to work, is it? Then?
Yeah, so like, well, we could reshoot it, but it's going to look really weird. So there's been like 100 million spent on it, and it might just never get finished and never come out. So there you go, bit of trivia.
Yeah, that's great trivia.
Yeah,
that's great.
Fantastic.
Okay, do you want the last news story?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
No, it's only been.
this
how long have we? This is an hour and 15 minutes. Let's go.
It's been quite a long news, actually. It's been
quite a long news. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this one's really pointless anyway, but it's okay. So I don't even play this game. Okay, Overwatch for Switch might have just leaked.
Go on.
Are you all excited? So this is an.
I am. To be fair, that's good.
So this came from an accessory maker called Power A, and they briefly listed a carrying case for the Switch that was Overwatch themed, and the listing said it was officially licensed by Nintendo and Blizzard. Then it was removed, and so. Maybe it is going to happen, or maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Oh, it looks really nice as well. I'm just looking at the pictures now.
Yeah, the case looked pretty good actually. I mean, it's not something I'm into, but yeah, I guess. I mean, this would be a good thing though, wouldn't it? Because there isn't anything like this on Switch, is there?
I'd fucking love this because I've been wanting to get back into Overwatch anyway, but as usual, finding the time, it's been a problem. And yeah, this would be absolutely perfect. I wouldn't even mind if it looked a fair bit worse, as long as it ran all right.
There's this, and Apex Legends, I think, would be nice to have on there, and I might even try playing them if they were on there.
Haven't they've said Apex is on the way, right?
Really?
Have they, or have I made that up?
I don't think so.
I can't remember if it's out of phones, but I think there was maybe talk about that. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Overwatch on Switch, people have been wanting it for a while. It makes total sense. It'd be amazing if it happened.
And like obviously, you know that. So something like Apex, I would probably not want to play it handheld just because of the sticks on the Joy-Cons. There's not a lot of height on them. So I think that might be a problem. But like Overwatch has got characters that are like, are you bad at shooting? You can play as these guys and you can contribute in other meaningful ways. Like you don't have to be like pinpoint accurate and stuff. So yeah, I think that would be really cool if that was a thing.
Yeah. Some other.
Hopefully.
Is that it for that news story?
Pretty much, yeah.
Got some minor breaking news.
Go
on. The Aladdin and Lion King game remakes are hitting in October. The original SNES and Genesis versions.
Okay.
I mean, the Aladdin game on Mega Drive was fucking brilliant.
It was a very good game. I did enjoy that a lot.
Because I know the SNES and Mega Drive ones were completely different, right?
Yeah, and some people say the SNES one was better. It really wasn't. The Mega Drive one is definitely the
and
better
if you disagree, then we'll fight you about it, won't we, James?
Lion King though, that wasn't. I don't remember that being great. Although I remember playing that on a 486 on PC.
PC gamer.
Yeah, mate. Hardcore. Did I tell you my story about playing the Lion King in a hospital ward when I just had 8 teeth removed?
Oh my god, no! But please tell.
No. So basically,
tell us, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd had so many teeth removed that I had to go to hospital and like be put under for it. I just have way too many teeth. That's a fact about me that you know now. So I had like 2 procedures to remove loads of teeth from my mouth, and a new wisdom tooth emerged when I was like 28.
Oh, God.
And on the ward they had so I was on the I must have been like 14, 15 by this point, but I was still on the children's ward, obviously, and they had a SNES, and I was like, all right, bring me that, let's have a go, what have you got? And they had the Lion King, and I still remembered the level select cheat for the Lion King, because you basically on the SNES pad you just tap out the name Barry, Barry, and then it brings up the cheat menu, and then so I skipped straight to the first level where Simba is an adult, and like one of the nurses walked past and just went, "Oh my God, Simba's grown up." Because obviously no one in like she'd ever seen play it in the ward before knew the level select cheat or was good enough to get to that level. So she'd never seen one of the levels.
So you were basically the king of that ward, were you?
So basically I was cool as fuck.
You were the Lion King of that ward.
I was the Lion King.
Look what I've done, boys.
Yeah, mate. So that was a good experience. That's bit of self-esteem, which obviously you need when you're that age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God, wow. So you had to go. I mean, I had teeth removed to get like braces and stuff in, but I didn't have to go to the hospital for it. But you obviously had a lot. I
had big problems, mate.
Big problems.
I'll tell you about the time I had the roof of my mouth removed. Not on the show. Yep.
Sorry, the roof of your mouth removed?
Yes.
Fucking hell, okay.
It was fucking horrible. You look back at past medical procedures you've had, and you're like, is that legal? Was that... Were they supposed to do that? Yeah.
I've got a lot of questions, but I guess I'll save that for another time.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll tell you what, we'll do it at the EGX meet.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay, well, that's the reason. Get EGX.net now to get your tickets. If you want to hear about the time the roof of Sean's mouth was removed, please buy now. Get tickets available now.
19th of October, 3 p.m.
Yeah, 3 p.m.
Okay, that's it for the news.
That's it. Right, what have we been playing? Looking at the list. I mean, James, do you want to just do yours? Because you've got...
Yeah, I mean, I've got not a lot. I mean, it's all stuff that's just... It's all done now. So this is going to be the last you're going to have to hear about this on the matter. So I finished Judgment last week, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's maybe a bit too much like Yakuza to be considered like a fresh game, I think. Like it's not really. It's so similar, like in so many ways. But I don't think that really matters, because the team, like the Yakuza team, they built, like, Kamurocho has been like improved over and over again with these games, and they just keep adding things, making alterations, and there's enough life in that city, I think, to like tell lots of other stories. And Judgment really proves that like it doesn't. I mean, this is something we always thought with GTA as well, is that there could have been like DLC for that, or there could have been more stuff iterating on it, as they did with GTA 4, of just like telling different stories in the city. And that's exactly what they've done with this, and it really works. And apparently sales have been brilliant as well, so there may be more of them, which is kind of nice. And I mean, the only problem with it, though, that I think that there is with this approach, is that they do need to try and, if they're going to try and differentiate this, they need to figure out some other way, like some of the sort of core mechanic that isn't just based on combat, I think, because that is really going to limit like where you can go with this. Because the other stuff that they've added as a detective, you do like, you trail people and like you track people with drones and stuff, but they're not good. Like they're the worst bits of the game. Like the trailing stuff in particular is not fun at all. I really, anytime that happened, I hated it.
Has that ever been good in games?
No, I don't think it has. It's
because like obviously Assassin's Creed is the fucking worst. Where like, oh, follow this guy, but not too closely, but not too far away, and then
and it's always so artificial, isn't it? And it's like, they see you or whatever, and it's like, and you look really suspicious while you're doing it as well.
Yeah.
So it's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't look right. And the drone stuff, I didn't really enjoy that much either, because it wasn't very controllable. It was a bit of a mess. But that's the thing. I mean, in this, the combat is still fun, and it's still really good, and it maybe just about fits in with the sort of the detective theme and everything, even though like this character is like really like as good as like Kiryu, like in terms of like fighting skills, which feels a bit, doesn't feel quite, I never felt that really felt like completely right. And I'm sure that there is another direction they could go with this in terms of gameplay, that you could do something, sort of interesting that wasn't just based around the fighting. But See, this is making this sound a lot more negative than I mean it to be, because I did really, really enjoy this. It's just that I think it probably, if they're going to build in different directions, they need to think how they're going to do that. But the atmosphere and the stories in this are still completely spot on, really fun, really engaging. And I mean, I see this may even go on my Game of the Year list because of how much I just loved coming home from work and then putting this on and just living in this other world that was just that. And like by the end of it, it really felt like the characters that you meet, the relationships you build. I felt like I knew these people. Like by the end, which I don't get that very much in games. Like that doesn't happen very frequently to me, where you actually feel like you're building like real sort of like connections with people. And like when the final credits rolled, I felt really sad. Like, I just felt this has been great, and I've really enjoyed this. And it hasn't been like this, it hasn't been like a Yakuza focused story necessarily, but there's still been enough there to make it like really entertaining and interesting. It's and I do also think this is a great place to start for anyone who is interested in this series, in this world, but doesn't want all the baggage of like what comes with a Yakuza game. You can do this. I mean, this took me about 35 hours or so, I think, and that was including doing like probably I'd say about 80% of the side missions. And
that's all right.
Yeah, and so you could go through the story like probably in about 15 to 20 hours, I'd say. Like if you were just doing it in that way. Although the side stories are great, and it's really, that's like part of the thing. I mean, I messed up because I missed some of them at the beginning, and so because I wasn't really concentrating on doing that, and then so I missed out a couple of them. But a lot of them are really, really entertaining and like really great. But it's just such a nice world to live in. Like, I mean, it's not a nice world because it's horrible, obviously, but it's just really so well realised. Like with every release of this, it's like they improve it. Like I find, and this one has been a good one. So it's been good.
I mean, the producer is it like Daisuke Sato said that basically, there's a quote saying, "From our point of view, Judgment has exceeded the sales expectations we had in the West. They are being very good. Given the circumstance and insistence on the part of the developer for innovating and fresh bets, we asked him if to continue. Basically, they asked him if they were wanting to continue to do more, and they said, we as a team would like to continue working on future installments of the Judgment series. So it's sold really well. They want to do more. Do you think that this game is it? I mean, you say it's not that different. Like, do you think they should have differentiated much more from Yakuza to turn it into a fully different franchise? Because isn't it a bit weird having this that's incredibly similar to Yakuza and Yakuza happening at the same time? Do you think it's not a bit of a missed opportunity that it's just more of the same but slightly different, especially if this now turns into another franchise of games where it's not drastically different from Yakuza?
There is that in terms of the story that's being told, like the core story, but then the interactions that you have with other characters is a bit, I'd say, is quite different. Like, and the sort of the character you're playing at as well is also different enough to make it interesting compared with Yakuza, because you're a detective that's trying to sort of like, get back into that life again, which is like quite different. But I do think that it is a bit of a missed opportunity in the sense that I think they could differentiate this further and it would still work. I think I would love to see some stories here from really different perspectives, and you really could do that. I mean, if you did one that was based around like the life of like one of the hosts or something in one of the clubs, like what sort of life they have, dealing with like public, but then also dealing with like the police, but also like the organised crime that's going on in the city. I mean, organised crime is always going to be like a major undercurrent to any of these games because of the way that this city's been constructed, but I still think you can probably still tell different stories. The story here is interesting enough and engaging enough for it still to work, but it is skating a line, I think, of just of not being quite enough. Still like different.
But you must be pretty excited that there is given now, it's sold so well in the West, and they're hopeful there's going to be a bit of a franchise. Well,
there's that, and there's also like 3, 4, and 5 are coming out like soon as well. And I mean, from what I've heard, like 5 in particular really does go off in like quite a lot of different directions. There's like a whole bunch of like different playable characters, but also with the next like, I don't know if you call it a mainline one or not. The next one that's coming, you're going to be able to play as like a woman as well. And so they are trying things here. Like they're trying to do different stuff, to sort of to expand it out a bit. I mean, there's a really interesting bit in this game. I mean, I don't know if I should explain, but I think I will, like a little bit, where you actually play as one of the female characters in this at one point, and the localization is really interesting because they try and make it so that you feel what it feels like to have people treating you like in not a good way, if you see what I mean. And like, you know, with the comments that men make as you're like walking past and stuff like that, and it's quite well executed. I think maybe other people disagree, but I thought it was quite well done. So there's room there in this city to be able to do really interesting stories, I think. And this was a good story. It was really interesting. I really did enjoy it, and I think it proves that you can do more. I think there could be different directions. Whether they do that or not is another question, and I'd imagine they probably will still stay quite conservatively to this format because it's worked so well. But I still think
there are so many games around. Like, obviously, some people just play one game every single day for hours and hours, and things like Warcraft and World of Warcraft, and I guess things like Fortnite. But like, you could theoretically be like a full-time Yakuza / Judgment player with the amount of games that come out. The remakes, you got Judgment now. Then, like, you know, the new Yakuza games. Is it getting unveiled soon or
it's getting unveiled
soon?
Yeah.
You've got the remakes. Then the new Yakuza game will be out. Then there'll be like another remake probably. Then there'll be a Judgment 2. It's just this. If you could just play these games constantly forever, and have so much to play.
This is why I wonder if it's not such a big problem for a lot of people that Judgment is like barely different. Like, because. Like, having played a bit of Zero, Yakuza 0, and like enjoyed it, but I feel the weight of the entire series. Like, if I do enjoy this, that's like 300 hours of my free time gone at least.
It's a good 300 hours
straight away. Whereas part of me's like, but if I just play Judgment, that's just one game.
Yeah,
and then I'm in on a new thing, and it's not this huge series that I'm going to have to get invested in.
Yeah.
So there's just less commitment. There's less of a burden there.
Yeah, and that's and I would absolutely recommend that. That is absolutely like the best way to look at this. Of like, if you liked it, if you played this and you just think, it's okay, you know, it's fine, then you'll get enjoyment out of this one. But then you don't have to commit like to thinking I've got to play all of these at all. And that's why this does work maybe in that way. Yeah. It's good though.
So in terms of like a start for all these, you still think Zero is the best, but this is like close second.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you really are very keen about getting into this series, then Zero is the place to go. But I would probably say now, if you're not sure, this is probably a good place to start actually, because of the fact that it's like a one and done to a degree, and it does showcase a lot of what the series is about as well. And so I think it would be so it's a good place to start with good characters as well. Although it still suffers in the same way that all of these games do, with like a very slow burn start. Like as in, you get that with all of these though. You have to play for at least sort of like, I don't know. I can't give a number. It depends on how you feel about that. I mean, I don't mind that, but a lot of people maybe are not so happy about having to put in like 8 hours or whatever before it starts to really like kick off. And but then it does, and then it becomes really good. It's but I mean the reason they do that because it's the slow world building and all that kind of thing, which I like that, but some people don't. But yeah, good,
nice,
cool.
I've also played Erica.
Yeah.
So
yes.
This was a surprise. I mean, like a good FMV game. Which is like,
it can be done. Turns out.
Yeah, it really can. And I mean, I played this on the stream, and I did it in one sitting. And the story I think is reasonably interesting, although it's more simplistic than it first appears to be, I feel. But the interactivity is really well executed in this. Like, I mean, you use the touchpad on the PS4 controller, which nothing does, and it felt really nice to use that. Like, you just like this is nice. Although you could also hook up a phone as well, and you could do it that way. Like you can just but it still felt better with the touchpad, I think.
Because this started out as a phone and tablet thing, didn't it?
I think so, yeah. And then it sort of morphed over to this. But it's, I mean,
then Sony wanted to publish it. So guess what? It's a PS4 game.
It's a PS4 exclusive. But but now it's like, I mean, you use the touchpad. I mean, you only use it really to make choices, but also to do like small interactions. Like you do things like wiping something like clean or something, or like turning like a key or something like that. It's really basic stuff, but it's enough to make it feel like you are having some influence on what's going on, even though you're probably not really that much. And it's just, again, I mean, I don't really have much to say about it in terms of like, I mean, I thought the acting was pretty good, particularly after coming from Quantum Break. It's significantly better than that. I mean, some of it felt a little like a CBBC production, Do you know what I mean? Like some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it felt a bit like that, like a bit like a sort of like a made for TV production, but that was okay. But the lead actress was great. I thought she was, that was she was pretty good. And
she gave you a retweet and then presumably regretted it because she undid it again.
Yeah,
that was funny. I did get a retweet and then she deleted it. I mean, presumably she watched the stream and then was like, "Yeah, this is not good."
No,
yeah.
I went in the chat. I was like, "James, like the lead actress has retweeted this to 26,000 followers," and you're like, "Bullshit!" And then people are like, "No, it's happened." And then afterwards, you're like, "It didn't happen, did it?" I was like, "Oh, hang on," and it's like, "Oh no, she has rescinded the retweet. She saw the content."
Also, you've got to consider, right? If I was like an actress or something like that, I would not retweet people streaming stuff. Like,
because you never know, do you?
You never know what they're going to be saying.
That.
Yeah, like what they're going to be saying, what they're going to be doing, that kind of thing.
It could have just been that she retweeted it, and then like someone from like the dev team or whatever just got in touch, like, don't retweet streamers; it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, I could have been PewDiePie or something. Could have
actually not that one. Well, no, I was looking at tweets, and I think she was out in because she had been in Gamescom. She was out in Cologne. She was like posting pictures of like massive or like jugs of beer, and then she retweeted our stream. So she's probably like either like didn't mean to do it. She pressed the wrong button, or she was drunk, and then she's like. Oh no, God! How drunk was I last night?
We've
God!
all
I retweeted James' stream
on a night out.
Jesus, I was hammered.
So Dave will get upset, but Kane and Rintz Sound of Play recently had an interview with Austin Wintory, who did the music for this. Famously did the music for Journey, among many other things, and it was really interesting because Leon was asking him like, "Oh well, presumably because it's an FMV game." Therefore, it was much more like scoring a film with a lot less, sort of mechanics to consider and stuff. And he was like, well, actually, no, it was a fucking nightmare because in terms of like events that happen that actually affect the soundtrack, apparently it's like every 15 seconds there was supposed to be some sort of interaction.
Okay.
And he was saying, and most of those had some sort of impact on the soundtrack. And obviously it had to fit in like a seamless way. He didn't want any just like this song ends and then this next one starts. And he talks about how, because it's supposed to look like a film. Like in games, you shouldn't, but you get away with like if a scene ends or a level ends or whatever, the song just cuts out and then something else plays. Like you would never get away with that in a film. Everyone would think it was awful. So you couldn't get away with that in this because it's much more like a film. And he's saying, and most games, like you can, compose a song that can pretty much just play, and then it might be like every few minutes there's some sort of interaction that might sort of mess with it. Whereas this, it was constant. Like, so you had to compose it in this really sort of granular way. So I'm quite keen to I'll probably buy it and play it myself, to be honest, because it was only like what, £8 or £9?
Yeah, it was £9, I think.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to go back and and obviously I watched your stream, but I'd be tempted to play it myself and just to have a proper listen this time.
Yeah, because I'd say it was definitely worth like £9. Like it was worth going through that. I mean, I got I think what is termed like a good ending for it as well, which is probably my first time ever when I've done a stream because normally things go horribly wrong. But I felt very satisfied by the end. With the experience, I thought it was it was cracking.
It was interesting because it made me think of when I streamed Wandersong, in that in the beginning it was all like, everyone was joking and stuff. And then by the end, like everyone was pretty quiet, and it was because they were just quite involved and they were actually really enjoying it. And I think it's always really interesting and quite special when a game that you're streaming sort of breaks through that barrier of like, it being a stream is not the entertaining thing about it. Like the game has sort of taken the forefront itself, which doesn't happen all that often. So it was cool.
I mean, I've been on a run recently of like stuff that I'm actually enjoying streaming, which is good. I'd like this and Until Dawn have all been good, and Until Dawn continues to be great. I'm still, I'm becoming convinced that's one of the greatest like games ever. To be honest, Until Dawn.
What? Okay.
In terms of horror games, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant because it achieves exactly what it clearly sets out to do, and it's very entertaining to play through. Yeah, it's going great. Anyway. The other game I played this week was that I finished Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I finished this on Sunday, and I finished this with the Blue Lions.
Right.
And that took me, again, that was about probably just over 35 hours or so. It was, and I talked to everybody. Like I did all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I found it a bit of a strange experience overall. And I mean, because on the one hand, there are like a few things that I can pick holes in with this, particularly compared to Awakenings. But I did find it very compelling. And I'm still thinking about going through it again with a different house, just to see how the story plays out from a different perspective. Because what I got was it's very much like Game of Thrones. It was very similar to that in many ways, which was interesting. But I would like to see it from the other side. But I do still have kind of a problem with the like some aspects of this. I mean, like the relationship stuff, which was a big deal in Awakenings, like building those relationships, particularly because of how it ends up with like really like game changing stuff later on. Which makes it, and also the conversation just feel largely pointless beyond like stat boosts that you get from it, and
increasing your whatever they are support levels. Sorry, it's just stat boosts. Whereas we've said on previous episodes, like in Awakening, you'd have these little instances where like two people who are really close. Like they'll go into a combat encounter with an enemy or whatever, and like the other character will be there on the battlefield with them and will like add extra hits or block damage or whatever. Whereas this, it's like you have slightly higher avoid rate than before, and there's none of that real sort of interaction and that sort of drama you'd get in those little those little combat sequences. So it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I didn't feel like a deep connection between like the people like. On that on my team, I mean, and in the sense that some of the interactions they had were very interesting. Like it was interesting to see some of the ways some of the characters developed, but some of the stuff, particularly like the romantic relationship stuff, that was completely pointless. Like,
it's crap, isn't it? And at the end, it's like, who do you want to marry?
It's like
pick a lady, and
not necessarily just a lady, Sean. It could be anybody.
Obviously we were playing as dudes, right?
Yeah, it still could be anyone though, but
No, it couldn't. It's very, very heteronormative, this game.
Is it? I thought no, I swear it's not. I thought that you could choose others as well. Oh, mine it came up with others I could choose.
Did it come out? Okay, I thought that. So when I played it, when I first played it as the Leicester Alliance, playing as a male character, the only characters I could have an S rank relationship with were all women. So I assumed,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't. Clearly you weren't being very nice to the men, Sean.
It's literally, you can see it when you look at the screen where it shows all your relationships. It shows you how high they can go. Yeah, and all the men, it was just A rank and that was it.
No, some of them, I'm sure that you can. I don't know. Maybe somebody will correct us.
There's just not much LGBT representation in the Leicester Alliance.
Of it not being great in that regard, but I haven't played enough to really comment.
I thought that was something else. I thought this one. I need to look this up because I'm. Hang on, let's have a look.
I'm pretty sure the reports I saw are actually it sort of takes you to a certain point, and actually fundamentally you have to have same relationships.
It does have same-sex relationships.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had a look. It does. Yeah.
Fair enough. That must just be the Leicester Alliance then.
Or maybe you were just only talk to the women for some reason.
No, because James, I'm not talking about the ratings that I achieved. I'm talking about that it shows you what the maximum possible one is.
Yeah,
and there were no men with S ranks. I remember noticing that specifically.
Sure.
So there you go. And it does a good job of like, because games are also quite rubbish at showing like just men being good mates and actually being supportive of each other, and it does a good job at that. But yeah, So in the faction that I played as, I was disappointed to see no same-sex relationships available. But
yeah, I'm just having a look at the list. The list is actually, it may be because you were playing as Leicester Alliance, because it's got like a whole list here of like who you can. And I can only... Is it Golden Deer, the Leicester Alliance?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got Alois.
Oh, see, I never recruited him, so that makes sense.
Okay. So there's him, and that's okay. And the rest of them are all from other houses, so that's probably why. Yeah,
that makes sense. Why. That's a bit shit though. If that's like an option you wanted to pursue, you just happen to pick the wrong house and recruit the wrong people.
Yeah, it's that's kind of how it is. But yeah. But either way, I mean, it's. I enjoyed it, although the combat I still think is too easy on the standard difficulty. And although
Totally is, yeah.
and it's, I mean, the only time I felt stretched was in the final mission. That was the only time that I felt like I might have to restart, but even that I didn't have to. And the monastery stuff I think is quite monotonous as well because there's just not a lot to do there really. But
certainly in the second half,
yeah,
it's relatively sparse.
Yeah, because there's less people to talk to as well, isn't there? It's just for different reasons. But I still enjoyed playing through it and couldn't stop while I was going through. There was just something compelling about it, despite the fact that there's also a lot of things that I think are kind of not quite right with it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I am gonna. I might actually trade it in because I cannot stop playing it. I'm still on my second run, and it's just like become my default Switch game still. Like it's just fully like it's just what I put on when I'm not sure what else to play. And I'm just like I'm not going to get any. And I think I probably just need to trade it in against Astral Chain and be done with it because I feel like it's never going to fucking end because I'm enjoying it that much that I'll probably do this one and then I'll want to do the third house and then there's like a fourth story path if you make certain decisions and I'm just
really?
Like, do you know what? Yeah, and I'm just like, man, do you know what? I might just look it all up because this is never going to end otherwise. So yeah, which is yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm saying that as if it's a negative. Obviously, if I wasn't doing a podcast, brilliant. This would just be my game that I played forever. And I'm almost certainly sticking on the game of the year list. But yeah, I definitely like even if you're not going to do a full run through, I would strongly suggest like just start a second run and put it on the hard difficulty and just do a bit. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how much more engaging it is. As a like long-time fan of the series, I think you'll get a lot more out of it. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's because that's what's happened to me. I'm like, yeah, but this is like, okay, I've already played it through once, but I'm enjoying seeing the story from another perspective, and I'm enjoying like getting way more into the combat because it's a lot harder. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll put it on my Game of the Year list, to be honest. From after,
does that mean I can't count on your vote then, James?
I don't know. It depends on how this year goes, doesn't it? Really. And if you play Judgment, there's lots of
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
help each other out.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, how are you getting on with it? Not to go on because I know everyone's sick of hearing.
I haven't played it much this week.
Fine.
I've been playing other things.
We can move on. That's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all. Oh no! One last thing, just really quickly. I've been playing Little Nightmares as well.
Oh yeah.
Which is, have you ever played this, Sean?
Is that because you saw the amazing showing on Stadia Connect? You're like, I've got to play the first one before getting on Stadia. Is that what you did?
Yeah, no, it was on sale on Switch, so I thought I'll try this, and because I think it looks fantastic, like visually and everything. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it feels a bit like Limbo or whatever. It's just the trying to escape basically, but it looks fantastic. That's all I've got at the moment. The load times are horrendous though on Switch. Like if you die, you have to wait. I mean, I nearly started like timing it. It's like it feels like about a minute before it like reloads. The scene that you've just been doing. So try not to die. Because it gets a bit irritating. But it seems interesting. I'll have more next week, so hopefully I'll finish it because it's apparently not that long.
Cool. Might do mine. I've been playing Rad, which is a new Double Fine game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I've got a lot of time for Double Fine. I'm a big fan of pretty much everything they do. Even though, like, I know what the deal is. Like, often, they put out games that are not perfect, but they've got ideas, right? And they're interesting, and I like them as people. Like, and I want to support them. So this game, it's not a Tim Schafer one. This is Lee Petty, who was the head of this one. So he did Stacking. Have you ever played Stacking?
No, I'm familiar with it, but no.
Yeah, but yeah, never played it.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's stupid, and it kind of doesn't always work as well as perhaps it should. It's not always brilliantly intuitive, but it's just such a brilliantly weird idea. And yeah, so I know what the deal is going in with a Double Fine game. Like, it's probably not going to be amazing, but it'll just be interesting at least. But I've not really got on with this.
Oh, really?
And I'm a bit gutted. So it's a roguelike sort of, I was going to say dungeon crawler. You spend most of your time like above ground, but it's essentially, sort of randomly generated environments, and you're running around. It's like an action game, like top down. You're a kid with a baseball bat in a post-apocalyptic setting. So there's been 2 apocalypses, and basically, you've got this ability to sort of absorb radiation from the enemies you kill, which then, once you reach a certain threshold, mutates you and gives you new abilities. So pretty standard roguelike stuff. You gaining random abilities, and then some of them will sort of synergize in interesting ways and stuff. And what's cool is that those abilities are quite drastic, and they change your physical appearance quite a lot. So you might get you might grow wings, or your head might turn into a flaming skull that you can throw at enemies and use as a projectile, or you'll get spider's legs, which allow you to burrow underground, or and the idea is that by the end of the game, you're you start out as just a kid, and by the end you're just this absolutely horrific creature that's barely recognizable anymore. And that's cool. Unfortunately, I absolutely fucking suck at the game, and I can barely get past the first boss. And
is it that hard, or what? Do you think it's your shortcomings, or the game not being?
I need to see if there's a consensus on this, because I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I just feel like I never I never quite have the tools that I need to just get enough damage out on the boss. There's the boss spawns, and then there's it's got minions running around, and just trying to kill everything in time and not die is just it's really tough. You have a dodge ability, but it's quite limited and a bit stiff. The timing of it and stuff just doesn't feel great. I don't feel particularly nimble. The best run I had was where I got the wings, which let you just fly up, obviously, and you can essentially use that as a dodge, and it was way more effective. I don't know. It's just not grabbed me at all, which is a shame. It's not even the thing with Double Fine games is that if nothing else, they're usually funny, and
it's always got the humour, isn't it?
Yeah, but this, I don't know. I've not laughed at any of this.
But do you feel like it's well written even without the humour, or does it not even have that?
No. The only bit that did make me laugh was it does a little intro. It's talking about sort of the fact that there's been 2 apocalypses, and it was and it just starts off by saying the first apocalypse, pretty much everyone now agrees that we had it coming, we totally deserved it. It's that's the one that we'll have to deal with. That was pretty funny. But then beyond that, it's gone, it's got this whole sort of 80s synthwave vibe, which it doesn't really make any sense, and maybe feels a little bit cynical because that stuff's Stranger Things and all that. So I don't know. I don't really feel like that works necessarily. I just a bit gutted, really. Just not grabbed me at all.
Is it because it's difficult? Has that been the main sort of barrier for you, or is it
possibly? Yeah. But tonally, I've not enjoyed it all that much. I've not found the combat particularly engaging. But I could forgive that stuff if I was going through it and getting loads of cool new abilities and stuff. But because I'm dying before I can even get to the second world, I'm basically getting 1 or 2 major abilities, and that's kind of it. So maybe that stuff gets more interesting if I was actually half decent at the game. I should try and put more time into it, but when you just I don't know if I'm enjoying this enough to really want to get particularly good at it. So that's been kind of a shame. What I have been pleasantly surprised with, and I can't believe I'm saying this after I just slagged off a Double Fine game, I've been playing Gears Pop, lads. On the telephone. I mean, you know me. I love my free-to-play phone games. I love Gears of War, and I love the fucking Funko Pop figures. You're
a target market, aren't you? You really are target audience.
I can't get enough of them, mate.
It is the trifecta, isn't it, for you, Sean? It's the whole thing.
It's the ultimate. It's just unbelievable. It is Clash Royale, which, if you've not played it, so you have essentially a deck of 10 characters or whatever, and then sort of 4 of those are sort of in your hand at any one time, and there's this playfield where you're at the bottom, the enemy's at the top, and then you've got to get your units to the other side and destroy their shit. You have 2 turrets, and then there's a character in the middle, which is you. and you get a point for destroying each one, and you've got to end with more points than the other person, right? So it becomes this game of like, your like power meter is sort of constantly filling up really slowly, and each character has like a cost to summon it. So it's got elements of like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or whatever. And in Clash Royale, it was like there was a playing field, and you like throw these units out, and you could sort of choose sort of where you summon them and stuff. And it was all about figuring out like sort of little formations of units you could put in, or sort of counter picking, like, the enemy's thrown out like these guys, and I know what's good against them, so I'll summon them, and it like Clash Royale was pretty good for what it was. I believe there was some cynical stuff with the free to play stuff. Apparently,
surely not.
Friend of the show, Cami Toman was telling me that apparently it like just waited until you spent some money and then started putting you against, like, basically then like putting like a fair matchmaking system. So previously it would just put you against really easy people or just like AI opponents, and then as soon as you spent some money, it's like, right, fine, now you're in the proper like rankings. Really? And and then it just became really hard. As far as I'm aware, this doesn't do. I haven't spent any money on it yet. What's different about this? So it's the same thing, but with Gears of War characters as Funko Pop figures, if that is the sort of thing you're into. But what's cool is, sort of across the playing field, there's like, obviously it's Gears of War game, so there's cover, there's little walls, and you'll have certain units that like they sort of hunker down in each of these like bits of cover, and then they capture them. And then so if you capture like all the cover points at like a certain level on the playing field, you can then summon. Like that, like, extends the range at which you can summon people. So you start capturing those walls. You can then start summoning your units like closer to the enemy base.
Yeah.
Saves time
much further out the battleground, can't you?
Yeah. And yeah, there's just a really pleasant mix. So basically, right off the bat, you get like, I don't even remember any of the characters' fucking names. You get Marcus Phoenix. I know him. He's just like pretty tough, like really quick at capturing stuff. And then you get like a bog standard like gear soldier who's like kind of shit, but he can capture stuff. And then you get what's his name, Cole, the Cole Train. He doesn't capture points, but he's like a bit tougher. And then you get like a unit which is like 3 sort of bog standard soldiers who are like, they all have machine guns, but they're piss weak. They die really easily. So you go through these tutorials, and it teaches you like basic tactics stuff. So it's like summon Cole first because he doesn't do a lot of damage, but he's really tough. And then summon the 3 piss weak guys behind him. Everyone will target Cole because he's like a tougher unit, and the 3 guys can sort of run behind him and just pick people off as they go. And like, I mean, the level I'm playing it at, no one seems to have paid attention to that because I'm the only person doing stuff like that, and it seems to work really well. And then you have units like there's someone called, is she called Kat or Kate? I don't know. She just like ignores all enemies, runs to the opposite side, and then just shoots at like the turrets or the main enemy in the middle. So her whole thing is like, if you find that you're like focusing on one side in particular, then it's like, right, well, let's clear that side all the way up and then throw Kate out, and she'll just fucking storm through and like blow up the turret. So just like little things like that. And then obviously, but as you're placing your units and you have all these brilliant plans, the enemy's constantly throwing stuff at you as well. So you're constantly having to adapt and think and work around it. And it's really good fun. It's really engaging. Every match you win, or every time you get like a winning streak, you get a loot crate with, characters in it and stuff. Sometimes it'll be new characters, but if you get characters that you've already got, basically once you get the same character like enough times, you can then level them up. So it all sort of feels worthwhile, even if you get stuff you've already got. Because it's like, well, if you get enough of your favorite unit, then you can improve it and make it a bit stronger. And it's got like a co-op mode. I know like people in the TCGS Discord have been like getting quite involved, and there's actually like quite regular games going on. So you join a clan or whatever, squad, whatever they call it. And yeah, you can just like join games with other people, and so you got this co-op mode where there's like a really tough enemy at the top, and you're both like summoning units in to try and like take it down. It's good. It's good fun. It's. I don't think I'm going to spend any money on it. I've not really felt any great need to. I'll probably get bored of it before I do. But yeah, for something I thought I would absolutely fucking despise, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I played a surprising amount of Clash Royale when it first came out, and this seems very, very similar. I have played a bit. I mean, I haven't even got to level 2. I mean, I was actually mostly annoyed because I couldn't actually connect to my Xbox Live account. Every time I press that, it just has like error, please check your internet connection. I've tried on like 4G, Wi-Fi, everything. It's just that annoyed me. But yeah, the game itself seemed fine. And also like the second you get like a chest or like a box to open, there's like a 4-hour timer like immediately.
Oh yeah. You have to pay to unlock the stuff.
Obviously, you can you earn or you can buy these crystals. And like depending on how long's left, you can basically spend these crystals to open the box immediately. But I'm like, just the first box, I've got to wait out for 4 hours. Why not give me one to open? Or maybe there's one to open straight away.
I suppose they want to teach you how the unlocking thing works.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't run out of the free supply of crystals just for playing the game yet.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
So you'll be surprised how far that goes, I think.
Yeah.
But
have you played this much, James?
I downloaded it. And then opened it, and then I just I don't want to play this.
Man, it's fine. It's good. It's pretty good.
I thought you were playing it for some reason.
No, I said I downloaded it, but yeah, I mean, I saw the whole like how I could buy like loads of crystals and stuff like that, and I thought I don't want to play this, and so I didn't. But I mean, it does sound like maybe sounds like it's all right.
Yeah, but with that, James, I mean, like developers have got to make money. Like
yeah, they have, but they don't have to make money in that way. There are other ways
how
to
much
do it.
money do they have to make?
But that's just how that's what free-to-play mechanics are like these days. You buy a currency in-game and then use that to do other things in-game. Like, you shouldn't see that and think, oh, I'm not playing this. Like,
well, no, that's fine. They can do that, but I can also choose to not engage with that if I don't want to, and I'm not going to.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, like I see what you're saying, Matt, but I would still prefer paying a set amount of money and then just having a game that's balanced to just reward me with stuff.
Exactly.
Because that is rewarding in and of itself, not like, oh, well, we'll have this whole system where you unlock stuff as you go, but then we'll just make sure there's a curve where you reach a point that when you really like the game, you're not getting new stuff anymore without paying money. So,
yeah. I would obviously much rather just buy a game outright and play it and enjoy it. But I don't, just because you see this type of like way to make money, which is basically in every mobile game because they've realised that's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
like, there's probably some good games out there that you're missing out on just because you see like the ability to put money in to buy currency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I've put like a good few hours into this now, and I've not felt the need to spend any money, so fine. The last game I'm going to talk about is Heave-Ho on the Switch. I believe it's also on PC.
We played this before, haven't we?
We have, yeah. You listeners may remember we played this at Rezzed earlier this year. It was great then. It's even better now. So basically, so imagine a co-op 2D platformer, I guess, but where each player is essentially like a head, like a disembodied head, but just with two arms sticking out either side with hands on them. And you sort of like it's a little bit Mount Your Friends in that you. So you're sort of waving these arms around and your control of them is not perfect, but that is by design. And you can grip with either hand. And yeah, obviously the whole point is you try and navigate through these levels where there are big gaps and spikes and shapes dotted around. So you basically, when you're playing it in co-op, you get all these situations where you're essentially like all sort of grabbing onto each other. But because the controls are a bit, like I say, a little bit wonky. So one person might get to the edge of a ledge, grab it, and then sort of lower themselves down, and the next person has to like climb down them and grab their lower hand, and then and then the third person has to do that as well. And you just like, it's just funny to look at. Like, never mind to play. Like, even though it's like visually, it sort of seems quite basic at first. There's so many like funny little interactions with the characters. That if you're sort of climbing down another character and like you accidentally grab their face and their eyes will be like, oh, fucking hell, or whatever. Or if you accidentally like swing a hand round and it hits a character, it'll go like and do like a little slapping noise and stuff. Little things like that just don't stop being funny. Like it's like proper little slapstick moments. It's just proper good. And you'll fuck up all the time, and it's hilarious. Like, the amount of times that, you'll have like 3 or 4 of you all like swinging in unison. It's like, right, on the count of 3, when we swing to the right, I'm going to let go with my left hand and then we'll all swing across. And then the next person has to grab the next ledge with it or whatever. And then you're like, right, 1, 2, 3. And then you let go with the wrong hand and you just drop everyone else into a fucking chasm. And you and it's honestly, it's hilarious, and it's
that
just
stuff was
amazing.
so funny at Res, just like
Yeah,
seeing us all
and it
try
just-
to work out how to get there, and then once we worked out probably the route to get across this chasm, actually doing it, and everyone being synchronized in their actions. It's brilliant fun.
And it's just you're just constantly like shouting instructions at each other and getting it wrong, but it's like I say, it just doesn't stop getting funny. You would think a game like this, you'd be like, half an hour in, you'd be like, okay, we've done funny deaths, let's just take this seriously now. Like that just never comes. Like it just keeps being hilarious.
That's great.
And they've added things. So since we played it at Rest, they've like added little mechanics. Like if one player gets to the end of the level, you sort of, there's like essentially like a little basket that you just have to get your character into, and you have to, if you're playing it in co-op, you have to get all the characters in it before you pass the level. So if one person reaches the end before everyone else, it like underneath it like drops like a little switch. So if you've got to the end before everyone else, you can then climb like around sort of underneath this basket, grab the switch, and then it'll like deploy like a balloon or something to help everyone else out.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really smart because not only does it, sort of rubber bands it so it brings everyone together again, but it also means if you have got to the end for everyone else, it gives you something to do. Like it's not just because the switch is always like a little bit out of the way, you've got to like climb around to get to it. So it's just perfect. It means no one's sat around getting frustrated or whatever.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, and it helps just sort of bring up the rear if people are struggling. So that's really cool.
Because I remember we were playing Res, like when one of us did get to the end, it's like, well, there's nothing to do over here, and also you probably need my help, so I'm just going to have to kill myself now, so I can join you.
Yeah, you may as well go back to the
again.
start. Yeah. But yeah, pretty much eliminates that. So it's just really smart. There's like little mini games between levels that the only one we've seen so far is that like it's like a dancing one, so you have to like position your arms in a certain way, like in time with like this other guy who's like dancing around, and you have to like. And at first we thought it wasn't working or we were doing something wrong. Then we realised sometimes he's like clenching one of his fists or pointing or whatever, and you have to like match what he's doing with his hands as well. That was pretty good fun. There is a single player mode, but like because I know people are going to ask us this, I can't stress enough. Don't buy it just for that. Like playing it single player, it's just you just grabbing stuff, moving around, and it's just like, oh, this is kind of just like a clunky, slightly annoying platform game. But like you do need to play it with other people, which is kind of a shame because it's local only co-op. But like, yeah, Jesus, like if you've got mates you can play it with, like honestly, this is essential. Like I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard playing a game like this. Like it's so good. I don't know when it's out. It's not out yet, is it? It's like this week or next, I think.
Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah, obviously, as usual, it's ideal on the Switch because you've got your Joy-Cons and it's a local multiplayer game. But yeah,
so
I can't recommend it highly
when you
enough.
play on Switch, you can do it so you can want one Joy-Con each.
Yeah, exactly. Because basically all
That's
the
great.
controls is like the stick and the two shoulder buttons. Like that's pretty much it.
Is it okay though?
So-
Like, as in, is it?
It is like obviously, yeah. Like if you don't get on with the shoulder buttons on the Switch, like you do need, the little clip-on fellas, so that it's easier to use the shoulder buttons. You do need those, and yeah, like it's not ideal, but it works. And as I say, because it's a game that sort of thrives on you fucking up, like you don't mind so much that it's that just using the Joy-Cons may be a little bit difficult. But yeah, I absolutely adore this. I can't wait. Like when we all meet up for EGX, like we're basically just going to play this, I think.
Yes.
Can't
I'm
wait.
very excited. Yeah, I mean, I loved it at Res, and I'd love to play more.
Cool.
I don't remember ever playing this, so I'm quite interested to see how it goes.
You definitely
Yeah,
did.
I mean, you didn't play Res because you weren't there.
Oh,
No.
no, you weren't there, were you? Shit.
You had a holiday book, James.
I
You
did.
were
Yeah.
busy, mate. Yeah. Okay.
Right, shall we go into my games?
Matt, yeah, what have you been playing?
I've been playing mostly. Okay, I played Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Let's get that out of the way.
That was great.
Me and James streamed that on Sunday night for about 2 hours. It was amazing to play it again, to hear the old sounds, see the old levels, the stuff that so traumatized me when I was. I can't quite put an actual date on it, but I'm guessing maybe around sort of like 9 years old. It was brilliant. I got to the castle in Alice Kid in Miracle World. Now, when I was younger, me and my sister played this for hours and hours, weeks and weeks and months and literally years. Well, I got to the castle maybe 5 times, but at the time, it felt like I'd been playing for hours to get to the castle. In real time, one run, it was probably 25 minutes? James, would you say that? 20 minutes?
Probably less than that. It's probably about 10 minutes, if that.
It's like, if you know what you're doing, 10 minutes to get to the castle. But back in those days, I was like, oh my God, Rachel, my sister, like, we got to the castle. It felt like an absolute trek. Because oh no, it's actually not that far. But I haven't played. I'm playing without save states. So once I'm losing my lives, I'm starting again. And I'm absolutely loving it. As James and I are going to stream again this Sunday night from 8:30, and I'm hoping to get it finished. What do you reckon, James? Is that likely?
I think you'll do it, actually. I think the castle may be a bit more difficult than any other parts in the game, but I still think you're probably going to do it. Because you surprised me, to be honest. You did really well. I was very impressed.
When we announced on stream on whenever it was Friday or whenever, we talked about it on the show, but when I tweeted about it, everyone's saying, "Oh, look, save states within half an hour. He'll probably quit. No chance." I genuinely don't think he's going to do it. I mean, maybe everyone's just saying because they know what I'm like, and now just push me on. But yeah, everyone and yourself included, James, said this is pretty much an impossible task.
Yeah, I genuinely thought it would be, but yeah, you did very well. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I honestly assumed this was going to be a total disaster. So
I haven't done it yet, so there's still time to struggle. But I feel like me getting to the castle, I know what I need to do in yanking matches. I know what to do generally, as long as I'm concentrating. So I can't wait to get back to that. But it was mad just playing this game that I haven't played in say 27 years. Just mad seeing, hearing those sounds again and seeing those levels and the characters. It's just it really turned me back.
I think the fact that we found out that the rock paper scissors matches were not entirely random saved it, because if they'd have been random every single time, this would have been a very different experience, I think.
Yeah. So the first time, if you get it done the first time and those are the same, you're fine. If you fail them, then after that it is random. But now I've written down what the first round of each of these Yanker matches is. After trying and failing, we're covered. But Alex Kidd America, the sort of archive of that video is actually on YouTube as well. So be sure to check it out. It's still a brilliant game. The music is still fantastic.
Yes.
But the game I'm playing most this week is Telling Lies, the new game by Sam Barlow, who did Her Story, of course. You two both loved Her Story, didn't you?
Yeah.
Never played it.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah, I know. It's one of those.
I'm really shocked about that.
Had it bought it years ago. I think I said on the show, it was just one I was like, oh yeah, this will be a really good one to play with my wife, and it just never happened. So I need to just do that.
Oh God, yeah, I'm really genuinely shocked. Yeah, Her Story is just a fantastic game. But you saying that about playing with your wife, Telling Lies is also very much a game I think you can play with a partner or friend or whatever. But Telling Lies, it's an FMV game, much the same as Her Story. In Her Story, you if I remember correctly, you were basically watching tapes of someone being interviewed and you're trying to piece together a story. This is. It's basically it's mostly around four different people. There are other characters as well, but it's mostly around as 4 people. And you take the role of this person who's watching. I think it's NSA, a stolen NSA database full of videos, and those videos are from people's cameras on their phones, from laptops, from Skype calls, etc., etc. And you basically got footage that spans over a 2-year period. And you have that, and you have a search box, and basically you can search for any term at all. And so, the first search term that is basically already in the search box is love. You type, so you do the word love is it. You press search, and I think there's 30 odd results, but the system only gives you the first 5, the earliest 5 results. And basically, you start there, you watch these videos, and you try and piece together a story by searching other search terms and trying to work out exactly what happened. It's a really fascinating game. I mean, if you loved Her Story, this is more the same. It feels like a much larger, maybe complex is the wrong word, but because there's more people involved, so it is ultimately going to be a bit more complicated than Her Story. And all the different characters have their own sort of different story arcs. You think a character is a certain way, and then you see more about them, or maybe you hear about them in another person's videos, and your sort of views of them changes significantly. So you have I'm not really going to tell you all about his people because it's if you tell spoilers. We have a character called Ava, Emma, David, and a webcam model, and you search through these videos, you find out what they're about. You find out about them in other videos. It's really fantastic. I mean, most of the actors are unknown. I think. I think actually some of them. I mean, like in like US sitcoms or US shows. The most popular one I imagine, which most people recognise, is Angela Serafian, who played Clementine in Westworld. Okay. She was with Tandy Newton. She was that character with her, and she plays a webcam model. But yeah, it's just fantastic. Like the acting is really, really excellent, and because you're viewing a lot of these videos where someone's looking down at the camera, either like maybe on their phone or maybe it's like a Skype conversation on their laptops, you do start to like get really have like an intimate understanding of these characters, and with all like the different range of emotions and the way the story goes, like you see different sides to these people. You might think one person is a certain way, and then you'll maybe see something from the past or from the future. You're like, oh wow, actually this person isn't what I imagined at all. And I mean, I'm obviously not going to reveal anything about the story, but I was really happy with the way the story sort of ended up. I still had absolutely like tons and tons of search terms still in my list in my document I was writing at the time, but the game had finished at that point. But because I've seen some people say that I should finish the game in like 2 to 4 hours. So I think Scientologists and some other people I saw like said, okay, 2 to 4 hours you'll be done. Okay, and I started on Friday night and I said I'll be done by tonight. Brilliant. But this game probably took me like close to 8 or 9 hours in the end.
Yeah. See, I've seen people saying it's like 15 to 20 hours you can spend in this.
And, I mean, you can easily spend I think you probably could spend 15, 20 hours. I mean, I was being incredibly thorough with every single video I was watching. Any sort of location or place or name of someone or anything, I was writing it down on a massive list, and then I'll basically go through every single one of the search terms systematically, and then so I find a new search term, I find a video, I'll watch that video, all the videos I'm allowed to watch, and those videos in turn have their own search terms. I add them all to a list. I mean, I think I wrote down here I had over 500 search terms in my doc that I had alongside the game, and then when I finished the game, I still had absolutely shitloads more to get through. At the end of the game, actually, it tells you how many videos you watched, and I actually only watched 2/3 of the videos.
Jesus.
So there's a lot more, and I can go back and find others, but I was being incredibly thorough. So everything in the video, I was basically noting down, searching, watching those videos. So maybe you probably could mainline it somehow if you maybe found the right search terms. Obviously, the great thing about this game and her story as well is that everyone that plays it is going to understand or find out about a story. It's going to unravel in a different order because of the way you might find certain search terms and find more critical parts of the story earlier on, and that might change your view of a certain character, whereas other people might not see them at all, or might see them really late on in the day, and they've already formed an opinion of this character. So that stuff is really fascinating. In terms of like bad points, and it's not. Oh, sorry, James. Do you have something to say?
No, because I was wondering because you played this on PC, yeah? Is that right?
Yeah, well, I played it on my Mac. Yeah. It's both PC and Mac on Steam. Yeah.
Because I know it's on iOS as well, but would you still feel that like the PC is the way to go? Like, as in, like, does it feel better?
Yeah, well, so when the reviews came out for this, I asked like Chris Schilling what he would recommend, and because I was debating whether to get it on iOS or not, and he said PC, and I would go the same way, particularly also because most of the videos you watch are people having conversations with their laptops. So it just feels right. It just feels right, but and also the person you're playing who's watching the videos is watching them on a laptop. It just feels like it. I mean, I'm sure you have a great time on iOS, but if I had the choice, I would go sort of PC/laptop for sure.
Yeah, I could see me getting around to it more often if it was on a tablet rather than
and you'll still have a great time because it's still it's still a great game. But if you had a choice and you read your mind either one, I'd probably go laptop because it feels more in keeping with the actual story itself.
No, fair enough.
So story is great. The writing is fantastic, and the performance is really, really excellent. And particularly, as I said, because it feels so intimate, because they're just talking to their laptop or their screen, they're really looking in your eyes when they're delivering these lines. And there's some really, really excellent moments. In terms of things that aren't so good, is that the UI is quite clunky. You're in this like sort of fake OS, and there's like you can click on some things here and there, but there's like a notes function within the laptop you're on, where like search boxes and stuff. I was like, oh, awesome. Okay, so I can just like write my notes down here, and then like watch the videos. But when you're watching a video, the videos are full screen. You can't sort of minimize them in this fake OS. And when you exit a video, you then like maybe write a note. But if you want to go back to the same place, you have to like save the video or bookmark it and write it down. And it's just really clunky. So after the first note, and then it just being really unsatisfying experience to do it that way, I then had another notes app open on my Mac, and I was like swiping between the game and the note, the game and the note. But I would absolutely recommend this. It's an excellent game. I absolutely loved her story. I think I preferred this more. I think the characters are better and much more complex. It goes to really, really interesting places. And I fully recommend it. I think it's brilliant. I'm so surprised, Sean, you haven't played Her Story.
I was going to say, I presume you recommend that I still play Her Story first.
Yeah. I mean, I think Her Story is shorter, although I can't remember. Yeah, okay. I start with Her Story. Obviously, there's no correlation between the two, so you could start with this, but just play both definitely. But if you've got Her Story ready. I would say if you've got a partner, I reckon it's be excellent to play with a partner, because you can both like look at search terms and watch the videos and say, oh, how about we search that next, or how about we search this next.
Cool.
So James, you loved Her Story, I presume, and you're interested in playing this?
I'm definitely interested in playing this. I'm just waiting for a time, because there's just so much at the moment to get through that. I was just going to wait for a little bit. But how much was it? What was the price? This
was like 15 quid on Steam. I think about £15. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 15. Yeah, I think it's about that. I fully recommend it. It's up there in my games for the year. It was cool. Just. I mean, that list is not exhaustive right now because it's been a pretty slow start to the year. But yeah, it's an excellent game. I love the intimacy you get with these characters, because you're really looking in their eyes and the story goes into really interesting places. And I'm really interested in talking to you about it once you two have played and finished it.
Cool.
Because it's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's definitely.
I mean, like, you may end up playing this game and finishing it in 2 to 3 hours, or you may be more close to me, where it's like 9 hours.
I feel like what you've done is probably the sort of sweet spot in the middle. Like, I think I would feel, as much as I appreciate it when games are short these days, I think I would feel maybe I'd cheated myself a little bit if it was only 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and after I finished it, like, you can go back in, and I do also want to go back in, like, find other stuff, because like I said, I had like an absolute shitload of. In fact, actually, so I wrote down, locations, places, etc., and like search terms that there weren't words like and or and basically actual places I could search. I had a that list was growing, and with every other video I'd maybe find some more, and I eventually got through that, and I only really started on the names. I was only like halfway through the names, all the names of the people that I'd heard or referenced, and then the game ended. So, and arguing the names, I bet, are the part of the game where you probably get the most juicy stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to sort of go back and at least go through the rest of the names. But it's a bloody brilliant game, and Sam Barlow can do no wrong. I'm excited to see what the next game is from. Yeah, 2
good FMV games.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like
in the same week.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
What is happening?
Yeah. Is that like a sort of a hangover from Bandersnatch, or is that too like obvious? I mean, obviously Sam Barlow did Her Story prior to Bandersnatch, so it's not like Bandersnatch invented this genre, but it's just mad that 2 games have come out in the same week.
It's sort of, because obviously, when you talk about FMV games, people remember like the really early like CD shit, which was terrible for a number of reasons. But like,
come on, Mad Dog McCree, that was great.
You can get that on the Wii.
I know.
I was always tempted to pick that up. But obviously we're only just at a point where, like we talked about Bandersnatch and how it actually, regardless of what you think of the story and the whatever point it might be trying to make, on a technical level, it's so smoothly done. The way it hides, it must use like a weird combination of audio and video tracks to sort of seamlessly transition the way it does and to sort of take those decisions into account. Like, we're only just figuring that stuff out. So I think it's on the one hand, you sort of think, well, we've had videos for ages. Why is this a problem? But actually having that sort of multi-layered branching thing is actually not easy to do. And we're only just getting our heads around it on a technical level, I think. So yeah, it's like, technically it's something we've had for like 20 years. But it's sort of suddenly becoming this interesting new thing that like people are discovering.
And like the model for both Her Story and this game, Telling Lies, is so simple and clever. Just hearing, watching videos, finding search terms, and those are linked to other ones, and it's such a simple mechanic, but it's just so clever. And you're constantly writing down notes and trying to piece together the story based on what you know, and then you watch another video, and it's like, oh no, this is totally different. And obviously over a 2-year period, you like say, I'm watching this video straight away now. That person looks different or has done this. Now, has that happened already or not? And it's really fantastic game. I recommend it to everyone for sure.
Brilliant. Yeah, cool.
And that's it. I'm about an hour or so into Control, which I started playing tonight. I've got nothing really to say about that, but I'm definitely have more for next week's show.
It's a fucking expensive week, this, isn't it?
It's crazy. Like all these reviews, like there's Control did. For me, like surprisingly well. I mean, I didn't really have any ideas about how it'd do, but a lot of people seem to think that's a very good game. So I jumped on Control, and then obviously Astral Chain is reviewed incredibly well. That's out at the end of the week. Wreckfest got recommended on Eurogamer, which is like the Destruction Derby sort of spiritual sequel. Knights and Bikes got recommended. It's Erica obviously last week. It's game seasons.
I was going to say, how was this started in fucking August? But they normally wait till like October before this shit kicks off.
Well, if it's like this now until the end of the year, we'll indeed do. Because obviously in September, Zelda's out and Man and Medan is out and other things.
Demon X Machina's next month, I think, as well. Which I know that's just a me thing, but I'm...
No, it's going to be expensive all the time. Especially, I mean, like so many games recommended and essential stuff in your game. It's like, oh god.
Well, this is what is really sad. Is we're already at that point where so a game comes out and part of you is like, I sort of hope it's rubbish because then I won't have to think about how I'm going to buy it.
There's a relief for sure.
Like I need to get more savvy about buying things physically and trading them back in as well. Like I think. And we all sort of said today, like Control, it would be a good one to do that because it is just like a linear sort of 9-10 hour thing.
That's my plan. I'm basically I've heard 9 to say 12 hour game. I'll hopefully hammer that this week and then probably except for Astral Chain on Friday or next week. But I'm excited to try it. I mean, like so far it looks gorgeous. Control and
I'm really glad, like because Remedy have. No, I don't know. Like, I want to say they have like a patchy CV. That's not entirely fair. Like, I know.
I'd say it's pretty fair.
Okay, fair enough. I've forgotten the name of the one you streamed.
Quantum
Break.
Quantum Break.
So everyone agreed that was basically not brilliant. And then you had like Alan Wake, which sort of review wise was like, it's pretty good, but they're like, it's got some real hardcore fans who like absolutely loved it. Obviously, Max Payne was great. I'm really glad for them to just have like a full-on hit for once. So I assume it sells. I'm pretty sure it will, given that we're coming out the summer drought. I think people are desperate for just like a proper little palate cleanser like that. So yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, and then the reviews have been absolutely stunning, like you're saying, Matt. So yeah, excited.
James, did you read that Eurogamer piece?
No,
about
the one on
Quantum Break being
Break.
Remedy's most fascinating work to date.
Yeah, you see that when I read, I didn't read it, but when I saw that headline, I was just like, that makes me much less interested in Control if the same person's played both, because it's like it's not a great game like Quantum Break. It really isn't.
But that headline doesn't say it's an incredible game. It says it's fascinating. So you should read that. It's an interesting piece.
I should read it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right, emails.
Okay, if you want to email us, it's podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. Stuart W., he says, have any of you ever tried to get someone into gaming who didn't like it? Partners, parents, colleagues, etc. If so, what games did you choose? Why those games, and how did it work out? Keep up the great show. I don't do this. I try.
Yeah, me neither. Really, these days, like I'll happily like talk to like people at work and stuff when it comes up in conversation. And like I'll sort of, like when you want to sort of explain, like I try and play things that are interesting, but then that's not even particularly difficult these days. Like most people who don't play games think it's all literally Call of Duty, and not there's anything wrong with Call of Duty, but you want to be like, no, there's like so much more to it than that now. But you want to be like, yeah, sort of get that across without coming across like a fucking snob. So I tend to just not bother all that much these days. Like I got like questions about, because I've got a Hyperlight Drifter hoodie, and obviously because of the way it looks, someone was like, "Oh, is that a game thing?" I was like, "Yeah, it is." And like, "Oh, what's the game?" And I was like, "Well, it's this game called Hyperlight Drifter, and yeah, you play as like this alien with a sword, and but it's also about the fact that the guy who made it has like a terminal heart condition, and and." Yeah, and it's nice to be able to sort of have those conversations now. But yeah, broadly speaking, I've got no interest in like trying to get people on board these days. I once tried to, when I was 16 or 17, get a girl I fancied to play Guitar Man, and she absolutely was not interested. And that is how I realised that maybe I was barking up the wrong tree.
That didn't go anywhere then.
No, it did not, and thank God. Because, if you're not into Guitar Man, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good thing to test.
It is a good litmus test.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly did. I mean, in terms of like colleagues, I mean, like there's a bunch of us in the office who play games, so that's easy to talk about games and stuff. But in terms of partners, I mean, that was much easier with things like Rock Band and Guitar Hero and dare I say Connect were around. I mean, like Joe and I played a bunch of Dance Central and Connect, and obviously Rock Band was out most weekends, so that was easy for non-gaming people to sort of get their heads around and play all together. But these days I don't. I mean, when Jill's like, "Hey, so we'll get," if I say I've got a new game or got playlist for the pod, and she asks me what it's about, I mean, sometimes I don't have the energy to properly describe it. I'm like, you don't care. Yeah. It's not going to sound good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes, you can be talking about a game. Like The Outer Wilds is one where it's really tough. Like certainly conversationally, it's so hard to get across quite how magical and terrifying it is. Because you're describing it, it's like, oh yeah, so you get in a ship and you fly around and you go to these weird planets and stuff happens, and you're like, no, it's just to get across to someone who doesn't play games about how uniquely sort of tactile it feels and how, the best description I heard of The Outer Wilds was a friend said to me, he said it's the most VR non-VR game he's ever played, and I was like,
it does feel
like in that, just in that sense of inhabiting a character and feeling like you are somewhere else. It's incredible what that game achieves. But try explaining that to someone who doesn't really play games. Like,
Sean, can you please finish that game?
I will. I promise. I will.
Out of all the games,
see, again, this is why I need to get rid of Fire Emblem. I know what I think about Fire Emblem now. I don't need to keep playing it.
Yeah,
I know that's a very cynical way of looking at it.
Do
like
what you need to do.
I should just keep playing Fire Emblem until I stop enjoying it. But unfortunately, we've got a show to do. So
we have. Yeah.
No, I will go back to the Outer Wilds, I promise.
Because I seem to remember you weren't that far from. I don't know. You feel like
I was like 10 hours in or something. So but like a third, halfway, third of the way.
I think it depends.
Yeah,
I think James checked how long to beat, and that was like 15 hours. But I mean, I was close to 25. But
because I'd heard like people doing sort of 25, 30 if they really wanted to. Yeah. So but no, I will promise.
Please try and play that.
I will.
It's a stunner. Yeah. James, next email.
Okay, Deadbeat Punker said, good evening, fine podmen. I've been struck by some melancholic weather today. Autumn is teasing the already feeble summer into submission. This has naturally evoked the thoughts of heartbreak, both past and possibly future.
Hang on a minute, when did he send this? Because we've just had a fucking heat wave.
Yes, it's...
No, he sent this today.
Okay, all right.
My mind harkens back to the simpler times when a less cynical deadbeat punk was full of wonder and excitement. You see, he was reading a Nintendo magazine in 1995, Superplay, if memory serves me well. There was a feature about a Super Mario RPG from the talented staff at Square, an RPG with excellent graphics using the Super FX chip to deliver an experience unlike anything else on the system. All of this and included the Mario characters that I'd grown to love. This went straight to the top of my Christmas list, as it was due to be released before the holidays. The only thing on my Christmas list that year. Well, as you are probably aware, the UK was never to get this game on the Super Nintendo. Little deadbeat punk had been let down by Santa and tasted his first video game-related heartbreak. This would strike in many different forms over the years. Harvest Moon 64, never making it over here. Banjo 3, not existing. Dreamcast deaths. Giftpia, yeah. Never being translated. Mega Man Legends 3, cancelled. Fallout 4, existing. Wolf Among Us 2, Part 2, being axed. I see the Outer Worlds in the distance. I pray it doesn't hurt me too. What are your most heartbreaking gaming moments? Apologies for the lengthy email. Bottling up your emotions causes impotence. Okay, I don't know why I read that. Keep up the excellent work, you robust stereotypes of enticement. And that's it.
What, in terms of really looking forward to something and then it being shite or just never coming out here?
I mean, never coming out here. That doesn't happen as much as
it's pretty rare these days.
It used to.
It was. I mean, being a long time fan of Monster Hunter, it was every time a new one got announced, it was like a roll of the dice as to whether or not it would come out over here. So that was always a bit frustrating. I mean, going back to Hyper Light Drifter, I when I first actually got to play that, I was absolutely gutted because it was just like a bit unintuitive and way too difficult. Fortunately, on that occasion, the rest of the internet agreed with me, and they did add an easy mode, which months later ended up being one of my favourite games of all time. But initially, because that game, I'd backed it on Kickstarter, day one, and I was so excited about it. Like every trailer that came out, I must have watched about 10 times over. Could not fucking wait for it. And then they announced that it was actually going to be released on my birthday. So I was like, that's it. That's fucking it. This is it. This is my birthday present from the universe. Cannot fucking wait. And then no, I don't like this. This is that was a horrible feeling. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. Nothing really sticks out. What about you guys?
The thing that sticks out for me is Half-Life on Dreamcast.
Okay, yeah.
Because basically, because I actually got to play that with me and Matt Morley. You remember that?
Matt Morley and Matt Morley.
Because that was that we were wearing suits. Yeah, definitely. That is at ECTS one year, the European Computer Trade Show, and we actually met Randy Pitchford was demoing it because I think Gearbox were doing a port.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Gearbox were doing a port, and Matt Matt embarrassed us because he offered Randy Pitchford a Polo Mint.
Nice,
but we got to play his port.
Wait, did he accept?
I can't remember that part of the story, sadly.
Okay.
I'm going to assume the answer's probably no. All I remember is that he offered and it felt embarrassing, so I'm going to assume the answer's no. But obviously we got to play it at this tiny little booth because I think at the time, obviously, it was coming out and then it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think about a lot actually.
I mean, you can still play the game though. It's not like you lost anything. Would you really want to play it with the Dreamcast controller with only one analog stick?
I wanted to play with the fishing rod controller. And,
okay, fair enough.
And it never happened. So that's when I think about games being cancelled. That's always the first thing that comes to my mind. Mostly because of the Polo Mint, I guess. But and the fact we got to play it, but it didn't actually come out. So that feels like such a rarity these days. How about you, James?
I was always sad that the Virtual Boy never came out over here. I know that I shouldn't have been because it wasn't great. I was
going to say.
But it's still, a bit of history, isn't it? I was kind of...
Well, when was that released, or when was it out?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. It must have been... Was it early 90s? Like mid-90s, around that time?
Because I obviously remember it being a thing, and you got headaches, but I don't know, I was never like, it's not coming out over here. Then it was just this mythical thing that was in another land, and I don't know. It was never like, okay, this might actually be coming out over here. It was just like a thing. From when
I think because it always felt like a bit of a punt, even when you first read about it, you're like, this isn't really Nintendo's new console, is it? This is just
this can't possibly be. It's like
a bit of a sideshow,
So I wonder how much they were intending it to be, like from the beginning, and then obviously it became very clear very quickly it wasn't going to be, and now it's been like relegated to the status of being a toy, hasn't it? They've said like it's not like a real console or whatever. I heard they just said it's a toy with like experiment, whatever. It wasn't like a thing.
I wonder if they'll do that with Wii U in like 5 or 10 years time. Yeah, that was just a toy, wasn't it? It wasn't even a console in a way.
Just trying things out. It's an experiment.
Just testing.
Yeah. Okay, next one is from Ethan Younger Banks. He says, "Hi, first time writing in, been listening since February and loving the pod. You got the balance of news, opinions and humour spot on, and I look forward to every new episode. Got a basket full of merch waiting for payday. Hope it doesn't sell out by then."
It's all made to order, mate. It's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're not worried.
The first TCGS stream I watched was part of Matt's Night in the Woods playthrough, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and it convinced me to buy the game and play it for myself, rather than spoiling it myself. John only said soiling it myself. Myself on the rest of it. Now, given the allegations against Alec, is it Halauka, emerging this morning, I'm unsure if I'll continue my playthrough. The reasonable, I think, part of me is saying get a grip, it's just a game and you're already bought it anyway, but I'm curious as to where you chaps stand on this sort of thing. Should we separate the art from the artist in all circumstances, or where is this line drawn for you? Wishing you all the best, Ethan.
So obviously this has been pretty horrible.
Yeah, it's been a pretty horrible day on social media.
So basically, for those who haven't seen, so Zoe Quinn basically tweeted a sort of well, it's basically a series of sort of images on Twitter, but basically just explaining that, so she basically suffered some pretty horrible treatment by Alec Halauka, who worked on Night in the Woods and Aquaria and a bunch of other things. He's like a revered figure in indie game circles, and it turns out he is a kind of a shithead towards women, and this is like a known but unspoken thing. But now that Zoe's broke the silence, like loads of people have either come out either about him or other situations that they've been through as a result of like much loved male figures in the games industry using that the fact that people respect them and look up to them as basically a cover, and using that to shield them against any sort of basically allowing them to treat women this way and get away with it because they know people will protect them, and it's absolutely horrible. In terms of the actual question, separating the art from the artist, certainly I find it really hard.
I really struggle with this a lot.
Yeah, maybe I'm biased because I played Night in the Woods and I absolutely loved it. And I know, Matt, you were fond of it as well. Because obviously I see this and I sort of think, but there was nothing about that game. Like, I don't feel that Alec's behaviour or his attitudes or whatever permeated that game, right? But
no.
But there is now an incredibly bitter taste in my mouth thinking about the game and the fact that I have supported him by buying it and really enjoying it and talking about it on the show. And obviously there's the angle of like, well, he's not the only person who worked on it. There's other people, and maybe they're really gutted about finding out about these allegations about his behaviour and stuff. But then again, there seems to be this overwhelming thing of like, well, actually, most people fucking knew about it and just were choosing not to say anything. So, but then we'll never know if they're, the people he worked with are sort of also potentially culpable in whatever way. So, it is a complete minefield, and I kind of, so I struggle to separate the two personally. I don't think I begrudge people who can, unless it's like quite obvious that like someone's views, Kingdom Come Deliverance, for example. That game, received criticism because there weren't any people of colour in it. And, one of the guy, the sort of head guy making it was basically, rather than just being like, that's a good point, I'm really sorry, maybe this is something we should look at, just started bleating on about how actually it's completely historically accurate. And started, crying about social justice warriors and stuff. And it's like, okay, so, like Witcher 3, I don't think it has like either very few or possibly no people of colour in it whatsoever. But it's like you can read that as like a very bad but perhaps genuine oversight, right? Whereas when the developer actually comes out and is like, "Oh, I openly don't give a fuck about this. Leave me alone and let me make my game with no people of color in it," that's way worse. And you're like, okay, so that a decision has been made about the content of your game that is based on your shitty views, and that makes it way worse. And that is why I can't separate the two. Certainly in that case. But people tell me it's a really good game, and I can't I can't say no, it isn't. I can just say, look, well, these are the reasons I'm not going to play it. I'm glad you found a way to enjoy it. I personally can't. I'm not going to have a go at people for being able to overlook this stuff, I don't think.
I think, I think if it's, stuff that's in retrospect, we've all enjoyed Night in the Woods, and it's difficult to now say, whether you buy
so
that
retroactively
now.
Be like, oh, well, that never happened. Yeah.
But certainly it would make me less likely to want to buy it or play it if I knew that. We just had that story earlier on with, what was it? Iron Fury. Yeah. And it's that's a game that now I've no interest in playing that now after all this. It's just it does impact you, I think, on because everything is so close, and there are we've discussed this at length in a couple of episodes ago with the the whole thing with Outer Worlds.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing about how the connection that people have between what they're creating and their beliefs or their value systems or whatever they've done, and there is a connection there between those two things. So it does make it more difficult, I think, to engage with stuff sometimes if you don't feel very connected with that person because of whatever they've done or whatever. So yeah, but it is difficult.
Yeah, totally.
Next,
go on then.
Okay, Matt, have you put loads of emails in this on purpose just to annoy me?
No, we just got loads. I think everyone wants you to redeem yourself in the eyes of the community, James.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
you've been mugging them off for too long, James.
Fortunately,
I had anything to say email-wise for a long time. So
I was going to say, fortunately, they're all good, so it's fine. So this is Lee in New Zealand.
Well, you're lucky, listeners. Thankfully, you've all stepped up.
Yeah, it's very good.
Deleted.
Yeah. This is a massive, massive first world problem, but do any of you sometimes feel overwhelmed by the fact there are just too many amazing games to play and not enough hours in the day to play them? Like Matt, I jumped at the chance of a 2-year Game Pass Ultimate for £1, but my backlog of unfinished games is already a joke, and with this on top, chucking 2 or 3 AAA games at me every month, I end up feeling anxious and depressed when the latest 8, 9, 10 or 10 out of 10 banger arrives in my download list. This week was the nail in the coffin, Devil May Cry 5 and Kingdom Come. Both games I very nearly bought for full price when they came out, suddenly available free, and I honestly don't know if I can be arsed with either of them while Fire Emblem remains on my plate. I remember spending 50 to 60 quid on a game as a teenager and dedicating my life to them for the next few months. You're truly on board with something when you've invested that much cash into it. When something is given to you for fuck all, it's hard to appreciate it in the same way. Game Pass is amazing value, but it's similar to the Spotify effect. Back in the 90s, I'd spend 13 quid on a CD album in HMV, take it home and play it on repeat for months, fully appreciating every track. Nowadays, when my favourite artist drops a release on Spotify, I'll listen to it a few times before moving on to the next thing. Sorry for the lengthy rant, but the point is, as much as we complain about the state of the modern games industry, we've never had it so good, and it's spoiling us. As 3 blokes who are under pressure to play the latest games and have opinions on them every week, it would be cool to get your perspective. Thanks for being natural, and that's from Lee in New Zealand.
Can't disagree. If you refer to the answer to the previous question, I'll give you an out on Kingdom Come if you really don't want to play that. There's a reason you can use to just bin that. But yeah, I can't disagree with anything he said.
I've kind of, because I felt like this as well, and it is also one of the things that I think is maybe not great about Game Pass, in the sense that it is, I wonder how much stuff is getting ignored because of that, if you sort of mean. That does bother me. Even though it shouldn't bother me, because as a consumer, you should be really happy that you're getting all this stuff for really cheap or whatever. But I do wonder how much it devalues things, by doing this. Yeah. But then, what I've come to terms with now with this is this sort of feeling of I'm not even going to bother trying to play everything, really. I'm gonna pick some things that I want to play and not feel bad if there's some things which I'm not going to get to, maybe, unless it turns out they're really good.
That is the only answer, isn't it? You've just got to let go.
There's no way you can keep on top of all of this. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Matt?
I fully agree. And I do worry about having so much so many options of games, you're like, well, I'm not really appreciating any of this. And I mean, I used to have like lists of games I need to get finished and started this, and but that stressed me out way too much to say, okay, this is what I've started, what I want to get done. I mean, I do have like lists of like 1 or 2 games, but that's it now, because I can't think about all the things that appear on Game Pass. And I don't have PS Plus anymore, but there's like PS Plus games, there's games of Gold, Discord games, Epic Game Store games, it's Twitch games, it's
Twitch Prime,
Twitch
Humble
Prime,
Bundle, monthly,
it's bloody mad.
It's just endless.
I just really focus on like the big new releases, and I mean, if I get time, then obviously Game Pass is there, and I do really want to play Devil May Cry 5. That is on my list.
I mean, thank God, like at least this has come about at a point where, like, small games are as likely to be on that list of like, oh fuck, this is essential. Like, like if a system like this had existed sort of 10 years ago, it would just be all the big budget stuff, and indie stuff would barely get a look in. So at least, like, yeah, you're having all these games chucked at you, but there is a genuinely interesting and varied selection there. It's not like you're subscribing and you're just getting the blockbuster shit, so that's good. But I don't know, because it's not like, like with Spotify, they sort of justify it as like, artists are getting essentially fuck all out of it, but it's like an incredible marketing tool, and it's allowing bands to like tour in countries that they never, and would have otherwise had a fan base. I don't think there's a similar route for games to take with that, other than, I don't know, like merch, I guess. Like, but I don't think there's a huge amount of money in that really. So there's no sort of analog to that. Yeah. So that's going to be a problem. I think what is going to be really interesting is when the next Xbox console comes out, and probably wins if Sony carry on the way they are. Like the arse is just going to fall out of Game Pass completely, because they're going to be like, right, we've got everyone on board now. We can't keep spending an absolute fortune on securing loads of brilliant exclusives. Yeah. But then is that just going to leave us all like, oh, well, this is shit now because we're used to getting brilliant games every month for £1? Well, like, are we just going to be so spoiled that we're just like not even going to know what to do with ourselves when that eventually ends, I
mean, unless maybe it's going to become like how streaming services were. I mean, less so now, but maybe a couple of years ago, where it's like most of the stuff on like video streaming services was like kind of mediocre. Like there was a lot of just like mediocre stuff on there, and then the real stuff that people really want, I'm talking like film here, you still had to buy that, because there's no way they're going to put like, I don't know, well, Disney will, but put Star Wars or whatever on like a streaming service, because it's you can make so much more back, by selling it. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess we'll see.
But that's why I think like the Amazon Prime model is like the best thing for these sorts of subscription services. I mean, obviously, Game Pass is great because you can play hardly anything and you have loads of games. But in terms of sort of a combination of the two, so you have a monthly sub with an ever-growing library of games, but also you can buy games as well. Like the big is, I think that's probably where these sort of things would go. But obviously, Microsoft have done this because they needed to do some major changes to try and catch up with Sony. So now they've sort of promised every first-party game is now on Game Pass. It's like it is true we've never had it this good. If you're somebody who's not desperately bothered about every single new release and haven't played the latest greats every single week, you could buy an Xbox One S and Game Pass and you'll be covered with so many good games for so long. That's all you need now.
Do you think we'll get to a point where like, because in terms of music, pretty much as far as I'm aware, everyone either streams it, or if you really want to, you can buy like the CD or the vinyl or whatever, because it's a nice thing to own. I don't know anyone who buys songs to download anymore. No,
I don't think anyone does that.
Yeah, so do you think games will go the same way? It's like, look, you either get it on like a subscription service and you download it, but you still, or you get like a cool special edition in a nice box.
I don't think so, because the big difference is that the thing with music is that it's available, like, okay, in general, most music is available on all platforms, like mostly, whereas with games, there still is that whole, like, looking for exclusive stuff, which, to like, differentiate platforms, and I don't think, I think that's maybe what will differentiate this.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Next. Barney Sparkles he says, a bit random, but I remember a while ago on the show, one of you all had a guess at what the new Animal Crossing will be called. Does anyone remember what everyone guessed? Part of me thinks James panicked and guessed Animal Crossing Horizons, which would be mental.
So I was thrilled when I saw this, because the truth is far
much worse. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
James, do you want to tell everyone what you guessed?
So this. Okay, I did panic when this happened. I didn't know the question was coming, and I didn't know what to say. So I suddenly thought to myself, maybe it would involve the sea, and so I said Animal Crossing takes to the ocean.
Still good.
I don't know if you saw Chris Band's Twitter name for a while was Chris Band Takes to the Ocean after that.
And I think it's still his Discord name.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, sorry, yeah, maybe it was just his Discord name. Yeah.
But yeah, that didn't happen. It's understandably, because it is a terrible name. But what did you guys come up with? I can't remember.
I have no idea. Can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, whatever he said, it was overshadowed by Takes to the Ocean.
Yes.
So I think at that point, we just instantly forgot.
Yeah, I think everyone's just too busy just laughing about that. So.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. Cool. What we got on the tweets, Matt?
Yeah, let's get on with it. If you want to tweet us, it's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter. Gary Dutton has done that. Ahead of Sean's FIFA stream, how many of the following rules does he understand in increasing difficulty? Scoring a goal, throw-ins, corners, goal kicks, handball, what is a legal tackle and what is a foul, the rules of a free kick, and offside.
So scoring a
Any
goal.
of them ring a bell?
Scoring a goal is when someone kicks a ball into the goal and it goes into the goal past the line where the goal is, and then they score a point. But obviously,
or every millimetre of that ball has to be over the line.
Oh, is that the okay? Oh, interesting. Throw-ins, is that when the ball goes off the pitch at the sides, and then someone gets to?
Are you serious,
Matt? This is only going to get worse. So strap in. No, because I thought it was. Was it a throw-in if the ball goes off the pitch at the sides, but then if it's at either end, it's a corner?
What?
Yeah. I can't work out if you're joking or not.
Man, no. I've told you, this is what it's going to be like on the stream. This is... I know nothing about football.
It is so bonkers when someone has no knowledge or interest in football. I'm always like, what?
So I assume all that's wrong. I mean, don't correct me. It's fine.
No.
Goal kicks... That's not just when the goalie grabs the ball and then boots the ball back, right? There's another reason that a goal kick can take place, but I can't remember.
There are other reasons, yeah. You'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, handball is obviously when someone just touches the ball with their hand. I'm surprised that's so far down the list. He said it in increasing difficulty. Surely that should be like next to scoring a goal near the start. What is a legal tackle and what is a foul? No idea. Absolutely no idea. Just whether it looks a bit sore. I imagine.
Yeah. I think that's FA rules.
Yeah. Rules of a free kick. Again, no idea. Is that just like when you've been fouled and you get to like everyone's like, right, stop, right, you have a kick because you just got your shins battered.
Yeah,
maybe.
pretty much.
Offside. Do you know? I used to know what offside was, and I've completely forgotten. It's something, isn't it? Something like when one team's got possession, if they've like made it a certain way across the pitch, they then can't go back. No, I'm thinking of basketball, aren't I? I've no idea. Absolutely no idea. So there you go. 9 p.m. Twitch.tv/The Computer Game Show.
You see, that's the funny thing, though, because like to play FIFA, though, Sean, you won't have to know any of these rules. It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's because it does it all for you. You don't need to know any of this stuff. It's fine.
Okay. What I'm most interested in seeing, because is someone playing a football game who doesn't know how football works. Like, wasn't there this band called the Shags?
Oh yeah,
and they, I mean, when I heard about the story, I thought that feels like abuse. But the story is with them that they didn't listen to music at all, and then they were like, then they were a band and they made an album. Is that? Do you know?
Yeah, basically, they weren't allowed to listen to any music ever, and then they just like, there you go, here's some instruments. So yeah, basically saying I'm going to be the football equivalent of the Shags.
Yeah, basically.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see the sort of tactics, how it's all going to work.
No, well, maybe this is it. Maybe, because I've got the beginner's mind, I'll be coming up with all sorts of shit that, I'm going to revolutionise the game, just mate.
Unorthodox, just genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to see
renegade football, mate.
The greatest footballing mind this country's ever seen.
I'm not bogged down with conventional wisdom, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we should get you in a FIFA tournament, really, after this.
Yeah, just do it now. I'll be fine.
So, no one can second guess your movements because they're just
exactly.
so out of place.
Yeah.
Athena Allen, Astral Chain is out this week. Have you all finished Nier Automata yet?
Yeah, ages ago. All endings.
No.
Well, I mean, not all the bullshit ones. I mean, A to E, the proper ones.
Have you
Really
played
good.
that, James?
I've
Really
not
good.
played it, no. It's another one of those ones that I always think, that looks good, I'd probably like that, but yeah, I never played it.
I mean, realistically, obviously, you never will at this point, but yeah, it is absolutely phenomenal,
Yeah. At TCGS fans, at TCGS fans on Twitter, Death Stranding, Last of Us 2, you got to pick one to keep, and the other one never gets released.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah, sadly it is, isn't it? When it's Death Stranding.
Is it? Go on.
No, it's Last of Us 2, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Well, no, because I know, Matt, you're really excited about Death Stranding.
Yeah, I
so
mean, I was
wasn't-
fascinated and interested I am in Death Stranding. It's Last of Us 2 all day long, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
Is that not a bit harsh on Hideo Kojima, though? He's already had one game cancelled.
I'm afraid it's going to have one again. I mean,
No, it's
if
fine.
you go against
No,
Last
no,
of
it's
Us,
fine.
what can you do?
I mean, just to be awkward, I'll say Death Stranding, because so far I haven't seen someone get their arm broken with a hammer in that yet, so prefer that one.
Yeah, I guess there's that, but there's no wrong with a bit of that, is there? Tom at Rikaku Police, what's your favourite James Farley catchphrase?
Have I got catchphrases?
Or
Yeah,
in
you
the
got a
beginning?
few. My favourite is when when there was something you were excited about and then you turned out to not like it, and if I'd be like, oh yeah, how is it? And you, I haven't done it for a bit, but you'd always go, it's not so good.
Not so good.
I don't know why. That's a favourite of mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
I
in the
wasn't aware
beginning,
of that,
sometimes you
but-
haven't actually said it in the beginning once this week. Last week,
No,
you
you
said
didn't.
it
I
twice.
said it
to.
earlier, and I was
Yeah,
like, he's going
Sean
to
said it,
go
yeah.
for me. Yeah.
I was going to say something, but I thought, no.
Oh, fuck, I
I'm bigger
didn't
than
notice
that.
I'd love it if you'd done like a proper sort of traumatized overreaction. You said it now. Don't just fuck off. You did.
You should have gone in the beginning.
No, I just thought I'm bigger than that. I'm not doing that. It's fine.
You know, I'm going to
Shame.
feel bad next time you say it, and I'm going to want to take the piss.
Chris O'Regan at Chris O'Regan on Twitter. Please do not delete this, James Farley. I mean, that's
It is
I protected
11:30 nearly.
I protected it. It's okay. Now that the current generation is drawing to a close, what aspect of it are you most thankful for? And conversely, which element of it can go do one?
Um,
When you say generation, I'm always like, okay, so what's actually coming in this generation? I think, like, streaming. Because that wasn't on...
I suppose, yeah.
So streaming is definitely one I'm most thankful for. That's really like kicked up a gear, and I'm also
I
convinced
suppose
that
more
it's-
broadly the ease with which you can share things you've done in games with other people. Like,
Yeah, definitely. That's so good.
yeah.
Um,
Obviously, there's the sort of normalization stroke integration of indie stuff and digital distribution. It's like, I mean, I know the previous consoles did that, but it's only improved since I think previous generations, like, indies was still very much like sidelined, whereas now it's just normal, innit?
I mean, even the term is a bit outdated about
Exactly,
indie
yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you know, there's like AA and AAA because yes, like No Man's Sky is arguably an indie game. I mean, but yeah, no, regardless,
Yeah.
yeah. But what aspect of it are we most like? What do we hate the most? I mean,
There's the usual
you know,
culprits, isn't there? You know, like the loot crates and all that kind of stuff, but that seems to be dying down a bit now.
Yeah, I think we are actually getting some control over that now, which is nice. I mean, some elements of streaming, pretty awful.
For me, I guess the worst thing is like massive download sizes. It's not a massive issue really
True.
because I've got fast internet and no data cap, so it's fine. But it's like, you know, it's more the fact is, okay, I haven't got that much time to play. If I want to play a game tonight, I better turn my Xbox on now.
Yeah.
So when in 2 hours' time I actually can play a game, it would have downloaded downloaded the updates and stuff. It's like nothing worse than like, oh, I've got free evening, but I'll turn the PlayStation on. Oh, that's got an update, or the game I want to play is getting an update. And like, I think with Xbox, it's generally quite good in terms of it picking up updates for any one of your games. But with PS4, I could go to my library, press a game, and suddenly it's like, here's the update. It's like, no, fucking hell, why do you do it in the background?
Matt. There's fucking updates on Xbox every 5 seconds. They're like updating it all the time. It's ridiculous.
But with Xbox, I found that at least when I turn my Xbox on, it gets all those updates and downloads them. Whereas on PS4, I have to actually start the game and then it finds the update. And it's like, as soon as you start a game, it's like, okay, download it. I was like, oh, well, why do you do that before? Anyway.
Considering the PS4 is, supposedly has this auto download option, I frequently find it doesn't seem to have behaved itself.
No. I'd say like massive updates. I mean, the whole day one thing doesn't bother me. Day one update doesn't bother me too much. Although that's obviously it's not like it was when you just like put a disc in and play it. It's more like I've got some free time, and then oh no, I can't. And then okay, I'll play Destiny. No, I can't. There's a massive update. Okay, I won't play Destiny like I wanted to tonight. I'll play this game. No, that's got a massive update. Oh, you know what? For fuck's sake, I'll just watch Netflix.
Yeah.
That's what
there's a familiar tale. It's
James?
like I understand, games are huge and detailed and bigger and better than ever, but they do feel like they've outpaced our broadband connections somewhat at the moment.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's only going to get worse. I mean,
probably.
We've got Stadia's going to fix it all. Don't worry.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about it anymore.
Because I know of like iPhone updates. I can't remember what Apple called it, but basically they gave it a name whereby it wouldn't re-download the whole thing. It would just download the update.
What's different?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that doesn't seem to be happening for console games at least.
I do wonder if there's going to be more of a push towards like at some point. Because, at the moment we sort of have this attitude that it's like, it's just data. It doesn't, like, there's no physical heft to it. It's just numbers. But, is there going to come a point where the networks are so strained that actually there is an impetus to, actually keep download sizes down again? Not just for convenience reasons, but actually because the internet can't cope anymore.
Well, there will be if there's not infrastructure investment, which is the big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never actually looked at what my sort of monthly data usage is on my internet. Maybe I could. But the amount of downloads and updates, it's insane. It must be
because the whole the net neutrality thing and America. Did America actually bin it off in the end?
No. It's fully in. That's
brilliant.
Yeah, that's happening. Yeah.
And they're trying to get rid of it because largely profiteering and stuff, but weren't most ISPs just absolutely shitting it when Netflix became a big deal because they're like, oh no, this is way more bandwidth than anyone has ever used before, apart from gamers. But we're a relatively small niche.
I think that's why they were then able to sell a video streaming package, and you pay more money because this gets you on the best channel for the best downloading speeds and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Mental.
Right.
Okay, that's it for tweets. No,
there was one.
Let's
I don't need to answer the tweet, but I just wanted to mention. So Bantu Braystar sent us a question about Cliffy B, and just because every so often we'll get a tweet about asking us to recommend podcasts. The latest episode of Darknet Diaries, which is a podcast about internet security and stuff, it's really interesting. They've done it's going to be a two-parter, but they've put the first episode up of basically a two-parter about how the Xbox 360 got hacked.
Yeah, someone recommended this to me actually. I haven't even heard of the show before.
It's so good. It's absolutely stunning. Definitely listen to
cool.
it. The reason I wanted to mention it is A, just to recommend it, but also B, there is a bit where, long story short, a kid gets access to Cliffy B's computer in the Epic offices, and there is a USB stick in it, which contains two things: a folder called Beach Pics, which he says he will not describe the contents of, and B, a folder called Lambo Tunes. Which is the best thing I've ever heard.
That's it. What's that called? What did you say? Lambo Tunes?
Lambo Tunes. He's a big Lamborghini guy. And just wanted to mention that.
Oh my God. Lovely stuff.
This has been a long old podcast and I didn't even notice. So I hope it hasn't felt like a slog for everyone listening either.
Yeah, I don't actually know how that's even happened, really. But
that's bizarre,
here we are. Let's get on to the streaming stuff. So tonight is Wednesday. Today's Wednesday for listeners on the day it comes out. And tonight, streaming is Sean Bell. Is doing Sean Bell The Journey tonight at 9 p.m. on Twitch. Please watch. Mate. It's going to be a banger.
It's going to be some sort of event for sure.
Yeah. And if you really want to get in the mood, go to thecomputergameshow.com/thejourney. You can download your very own special Sean Bell edition cover for FIFA.
I'm looking forward to the debrief the week after. It's going to be fascinating.
I was assuming you're all going to be berating me in the chat, to be honest.
Definitely. That's definitely going to happen. But there's still going to be there'll be a week to reflect as well on it. So it's
So that is tonight, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Sean Bell, The Journey. Get involved. Please watch it. Friday night, James is back for streaming Until Dawn. That's Friday night for 9. You're still loving that game, aren't you, James? You said. One of the best games of all time. That's Friday night from 9 p.m. Sunday night, I am streaming Alex Kidd in Miracle World with James there for support. That's Sunday night from 8:30. I'm going to try and get that done, but we'll see. I think I can probably do it anyway. Twitch Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, and many of you do, you have Twitch Prime, and with that you get 1 free sub every month, and we'd really appreciate it if you went over to our channel in the app or on the desktop and gave us a free sub. And if you've done it in the past, these things don't auto-renew, so we'd really appreciate it if you went back over and gave us a sub. And if you sub when one of us is streaming, you'll get a cheeky little shout out. Unless James can't be bothered, but Sean, I will definitely do it.
If it happens. If that happens, I'll see
it. You've got no.
Save it for mine or Sean streams because there's shout outs galore.
You've got an Elgato now, James. You can do the proper setup and everything.
I haven't bothered setting it up.
It's a sorted.
Patreon money well spent.
Yeah. Very much so. We're also on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/TCGS if you want to get access to the exclusive podcasts and other video stuff we do early. And we've got a store, of course. We launched that last week. Plenty of you been buying t-shirts and stuff. It's been awesome to see. The mugs look amazing. The t-shirts look fantastic. So thank you ever so much, Evan, for buying some stuff on there. Go to thecomputergameshow.com/store for stuff we've got on there. To go to computergameshow.com for the rest of the stuff. But Star Calls, so there wasn't an episode this week. Next week we're doing a roundtable, which is actually the final Star Calls. So we need your questions. So email starcalls@thecomputergameshow.com with any question related to Star Wars for all the movies and stuff that Dave's seen and all the stuff that James has said. And yeah, so last Star Calls where myself and Sean are joining David and James for the roundtable. So get your questions sent in for that. And that is it for the end bit.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and we've got a busy fucking couple of weeks, haven't we? So we've got to do Star Calls. Life is Strange is out. Coming. We've got to do the bonus Patreon stuff. I realised that I need to do Bell's Kitchen on Saturday because otherwise we're into next month and we will not have fulfilled a Patreon stretch goal. So that'll be. We'll tweet about it. So keep an eye on the Twitter account. Probably like 7-ish on 7 p.m. on Saturday.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll keep an eye on Twitter and Instagram and all the rest of it. I'll post up what I'm going to be making.
What you should do, like if the day of the month like works out well, you should do it. So it's like 11 p.m. on the 31st to like 1 a.m. on the 1st. You've got 2 months nailed.
Yeah, both
like
covered.
midnight snacks and
that'd be all right.
Midnight snacks recipes.
That'd be great. That. No, it's frustrating because I was like, no, I really want to stick to that Sunday evening slot because I think everyone really liked that. I think it was like quite a pleasant bit of Sunday evening viewing, and it was quite cool that like so like me doing my stream and then going pretty much straight into yours was like, look, you've got a whole fucking evening of entertainment for free from us. So that was really nice. But this month, I know it's like, I mean, probably most people will say, don't be an idiot, just do it on Sunday. But I feel. Just being a bit anal about it.
You should just do it on Sunday, to be fair.
Do you reckon?
Yes.
If you're listening to this and you care either way, give us a shout and
no,
we'll figure it out.
Just do it on Sunday. It's fine.
I feel like I've not delivered on a Patreon thing. People are going to start pulling out, Matt.
Oh, good point. Okay, well, do it straight after this podcast then.
Okay, I'll do it.
If you're not bothered,
I'll do what's in the kitchen. Right. Oh my God, this has been a long old episode.
I'm literally soaking wet with sweat. This is horrendous.
No, I honestly don't understand. I did not think it was this long. I looked down in the last 5 minutes and I have no idea how this has happened. But oh
God, imagine what's going to be like when actual proper games are coming out.
I know, yeah, it'd be ridiculous. Brilliant. Thanks for listening. Much appreciated. Catch us on the streams or wherever. Buy a t-shirt. Thanks for letting us be natural. Really. Bye.
Bye.
Sean Bell Journey, Wednesday night at 9. Watch it. It's gonna be good. Watch it. so hot.